The bats emitted an unusually piercing cry, and there were quite a few of them. Naruto immediately saw a piece of darkness coming towards him, and only felt a slight numbness in his scalp. These bats not only obstructed Naruto's vision, they also blocked Naruto's forward movement. But Naruto's fighting experience is extremely rich, so there shouldn't be any confusion. He stopped, his hands continuously dancing in the middle. A set of fire release ninjutsu hand seals were completed. Katan, Housenka no Jutsu, fire release, Phoenix fire technique. One hand stood at the mouth. Each fireball, like phoenix flower, sprayed out from Naruto's mouth, following different trajectories flying towards those black bats. When the fireball and the bat collided, the furry bat was immediately ignited and burned, up group by group of blazing fire, emitting a series of sizzling sounds. As the large area of the pole emitted a miserable cry, it fell towards the ground, but there were still quite a few bats dodging the fireball attacks, charging straight at Naruto. Not knowing whether these blood bats will have poison or not, Naruto probably doesn't plan on using the kunai in his hand for close combat, continuously shaking itself back a few times. Behind the pole, that bull-headed monster suddenly, he rushed towards Naruto. That ox-head monster's pair of horns were extremely sharp. If he were to be stabbed so easily, Naruto would undoubtedly be instantly gutted. But with Naruto, a Kage-level player, how could he be hit by this kind of attack? Even though their coordination was extremely good, Naruto still maintained his composure. Face, without any confusion. Wood release with claw. Crack, 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 dash equals. The sound of wooden blocks colliding together continuously began to ring out. Not even a moment later, an oval wooden fence appeared in front of Naruto City, keeping Naruto protected inside. Few. The remaining survivors, because the attack speed was too fast, all strongly hit the head on the wooden fence above. There were quite a few that also spilled fresh blood, slowly sliding down the fence. Immediately after, there was a loud crack. The bullhead monster followed closely behind and killed me. One head strongly crashing into the wooden fence above. That pair of sharp horns hit the wooden fence and broke it into pieces. In a flash, the wooden blocks flew everywhere. And the wooden ting was also completely destroyed. Old ox, how is it? Kill that brat. Summoning the large, sweaty bat to the south. Voice asked the bullhead monster. Ox-head monster stood in a pile of wood chips, his face filled with confusion as he scanned the area below. My feet. No one. Bullhead monster spread his arms out, indicating that he was not there. Understand what the situation is. The sweaty man's face immediately filled with solemnity. He turned his head continuously towards. The surrounding people glanced at each other at the same time, and also started to remind their teammates. The biggest boss. Must be careful. That kid moves very fast. Who knows, he might suddenly will appear. The crowd all had solemn expressions, glancing in different directions. Look at. On the big tree. No. All around. Also nothing. I'm here. You stinky bastard. Suddenly, Naruto's voice rang out from underground. Sweat poured down the man's face in fear. He hurriedly wanted to let go and jump away, because he heard it clearly. The sound came from under his feet, but without waiting for him to act, a single arm swished and rushed into Kitsuchi, grabbing the sweat that was creeping up his ankles. Earth-style heart-centered slashing technique. As Naruto finished speaking, the sweaty man immediately felt a sudden change in the heavens. Immediately after that, his entire body was pushed into the ground, covered and buried in thick mud. The ground was clear, only revealing a head. Beside the mud, there was a rumbling sound as Naruto's head came out from the ground, and then his body. Can let go jump up. Sweat poured down the men around him, and his teammates quickly stepped forward, hoping to help your teammates. Among them, the 5 figures were the fastest. It was unknown what method they used, but heat was rising from their bodies, and in almost an instant, they turned into afterimages and chased after them. Drink! The 5 elements punched out forcefully, striking towards Naruto's body. His fist suddenly grew bigger, already thicker than half of Naruto's body. This guy's ability is not bad. Naruto's mouth corners revealed a smile. He couldn't help but praise this so-called 5 elements guy. Naruto is a bit impressed. In the original, Giran was seriously injured by the 3 tails and was later ambushed by a male bat. Into the sea inside. Giran was already about to die. But this so-called five elements fire saved him. The foot stepped on the five-finger fist on the back, then used all his strength to jump up to a higher place in the air. At the same time, Naruto's two hands rapidly formed hand seals. Would release heavenly wax technique. The five figures changed from speed form to attack form. The speed had slowed down several times. He basically didn't have time to retract his fist. But the sweaty man only had one head exposed outside. There was basically no way to dodge. Could only watch helplessly as the sharp tree roots stabbed towards him, eyes showing fear and letting out a loud cry. Puffy, 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 puffy. The wooden stake pierced through the sweat on the man's head and was tilted and stuck into the muddy ground. When the heavenly wax technique was activated, that small area was filled with wooden stakes. The body of the five elements also followed with a rustling sound, turning into a pile of mud, scattering to the ground. But very quickly, a strange scene happened again. That pile of mud rapidly wriggled and fled, until it appeared more than 10 meters away under a large tree. Only then did it condense into a five-dimensional body again. Only now the five suits no longer have the previous solid appearance. The whole person was as thin as a stick, leaning against a big tree, continuously breathing in rough air. It seems that the last move of that escape method, for the five elements, the consumption is absolutely extremely large. Naruto, Ichikuro, towards this five things started to feel interested. So there is only this five things, and also Girin, this woman. On the other hand, those guys, or those with strange appearances, if brought back to the wave country, would probably scare quite a few kids to tears. For example, just now Naruto killed this sweaty man. He is a scheming guy. The original work has been pretending to be weak, but in fact, from beginning to end, it can destroy Girin's essence. But Girin and the other two, the five elements, are also a bit different. Girin felt guilty towards Yukimaru and eventually left the Orochimaru organization. The five elements were to repay the favor, and after helping Girin, they died under the three tails as men. Circumstances are very important to people. Although the five elements and Girin followed Orochimaru and did bad things, in short, they had good intentions from the beginning to the end. As long as they can subdue the two of them and then properly guide them in such a peaceful and harmonious environment like the wave country, they will definitely be able to integrate into the big family of the wave country. When Naruto and the others on this side were fighting, Sasuke's fighters on the other side also opened fire at the same time. Hey, you and I will go together to subdue Uchiha Sasuke. Girin loudly ordered the transparent person with a body covered in deep blue beside him. Girin probably didn't forget. Yakushi Kabuto sent him a mission, the most important of which was to bring back Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke, while blocking the hexagonal crystal shuriken rain attack, also opened his own three-pointed jewel Sharingan. This natural abnormality could not escape Girin's eyes, although he had never seen Uchiha Sasuke's appearance with his own eyes. But according to Yakushi's bib inside Sasuke's appearance, plus that pair of special crimson eyes, one could immediately recognize him. I know, leave it to me, Girin-san. The transparent blue-skinned person's mouth corners revealed a confident smile. His two hands suddenly raised, and his pair of arms stretched out infinitely, long to more than 10 meters in length, straight towards Sasuke's body grabbed. What a joke. These guys are all monsters. Sasuke gently gritted his teeth and quickly dodged. When he said monsters, he naturally meant that these guys had strange shapes, not that their strength was unusually strong. Not only is his appearance strange, his abilities are also very strange. Collect. Avoiding the blue-skinned person, a pair of long arms grabbed him. Sasuke also took the opportunity when the blue-skinned person retracted his arms and waved his hand to throw out several shuriken. The shuriken stabbed straight into the blue-skinned man's chest. Not only did the blue-skinned man not show any painful expression, but the transparent liquid inside his body wriggled, sucking all 6 shuriken into his body. Give it back to you. The arm just retracted to the position, the blue-skinned person's back slightly arched back, then the chest suddenly thrust forward a peak. Collect. The 6 shuriken shot out from his chest, several times faster than before, and shot back towards Sasuke. This guy. Sasuke's face was shocked. Under his Sharingan vision, he could see the 6 shuriken blades on his face, surrounded by a layer of golden energy. Not daring to use a kunai to block, Sasuke dodged to the side and jumped to avoid it. Dong. The 6 shuriken straightly stabbed into a giant tree, then pierced through a waist-sized giant tree, then hit a giant rock behind. splashing a lot of fire stars, then fell to the ground and stopped the attack. Before Sasuke could react to this powerful force, Girin had already grabbed a crystal crescent knife in both hands and slashed towards him. Uchiha Sasuke, be good and accept your fate, Girin shouted loudly. The glass scimitar on his arm attacked directly towards Sasuke's face. She was very anxious right now, knowing that if she brought out those subordinates, she definitely wouldn't be able to stop Naruto for long. She must quickly capture Uchiha Sasuke. This way she can use him as a hostage to suppress Uzumaki Naruto, and at the same time have the opportunity to complete the mission arranged by Yakushi Kabuto. What are you joking about? You woman! Sasuke did not give in at all, holding the kunai in his hand. He dodged Girin's attack while counterattacking. Just hearing the name Itachi Uchiha, his anger level jumped to a very high level. At this time, an enemy may appear for him to vent his emotions on. So of course Sasuke will use all his strength. Both of them have offense and defense. Physical arts cannot quickly determine victory or defeat. But the blue-skinned man had already approached, cooperating with Girin, launching a two-pronged attack on Sasuke. Girin was originally an elite Jinchuriki, almost on the verge of entering Kage level. Although he didn't use physical technique to grow, under the cooperation of the blue-skinned man, he quickly gained the upper hand. Break! Hey! Sasuke's pair of Tri-Jade Sharingan constantly moved, predicting the enemy's movements. But it still couldn't hold out for long, and was kicked in the stomach by Girin. After a miserable cry, it flew straight back out. His back hit a large tree, making a dull thud. Blood flowed from the corner of Sasuke's mouth. It seemed that he was seriously injured this time. Good opportunity? The blue-skinned man was extremely excited. His left arm stretched out and grabbed the trunk of a large tree behind Sasuke. He pulled it down with force and brought his body with him. The blue-skinned man received this momentum and rushed forward. His right arm clenched into a fist, and he punched Sasuke's face. In a flash, Sasuke's back strength above the heavenly curse seal was covered by a layer of dark red chakra lines. Immediately after, black veins instantly crawled all over Sasuke's body. His black hair turned gray, rapidly growing longer. The skin also followed the change into a gray-black state. The back of the clothes was pushed up for a while. Two gray wings penetrated the clothes, rapidly growing out. Boom, boom, tilde, tilde, tilde. The blue-skinned man punched hard, hitting a huge gray wing above. In his imagination, the scene of Sasuke being blown away had never appeared, and the intensity of his punch was completely dissipated by that gray wing. What happened? This guy's transformation. Could it be a cursed seal? The blue-skinned man's face was filled with fear. He could not believe his eyes. Of the 7 people who followed Girin's squad, none of them were lucky enough to be given the cursed seal. Even the Earth seal cannot be obtained. These people were just injected with some mutated animal genes, and their bodies underwent these strange mutations, obtaining animal abilities at the same time. Also, because of making medicine expands and increases, allowing them to obtain extremely powerful strength. But this kind of power is not like a curse seal. It can increase strength. So this blue-skinned person will reveal this kind of startled expression. CCC. Behind the gray wing barrier, a dazzling electric light suddenly appeared and splashed out, making a popping sound. The wings suddenly opened, revealing Sasuke hiding inside. Sasuke held a blinding electric arc in his hand. His foot suddenly stomped behind the big tree, using the force to fly straight towards the blue-skinned person. Chidori! Oh no! There's no time to dodge. The man's face showed fear, wanting to dodge backwards and run away. Sasuke was probably suppressing the 2 forms below, and compared to before, his speed had increased several times. Moreover, at such a close distance, stepping on the big tree and borrowing the force to rush out, the blue-skinned person had no chance to dodge. Puffy! Sasuke's arm carrying a dazzling lightning bolt stabbed straight into the blue-skinned man's chest. There was no blood splattered out, just a lot of purple liquid gushing out from the wound. Ah! The blue-skinned man threw his head back and screamed. But he was stabbed in the heart and did not die immediately. A moment later, the blue-skinned man's miserable scream stopped, his head turned back, and he looked at Sasuke with a miserable smile. I tricked you. My body's organs can move and change at will. Even though you stabbed my heart, you didn't harm my life. If it weren't for your damn lightning ability being extremely difficult to deal with, my smooth ability would have been able to work. Damn it. The blue-skinned man had a trace of purple blood left at the corner of his mouth as he shouted towards Giran. Sister Giran, quick, I'll capture him. Quickly come and subdue this guy. In fact, the blue-skinned person at this time also cannot stand it. Sasuke pierced through the blue skin of the other right hand, the lightning still lingering on his hand. Although he said he didn't cause fatal harm to the blue-skinned person, this kind of continuous numbness and pain still made him feel extremely uncomfortable. What? Sasuke's face was filled with horror, wanting to pull his right arm back. But no matter how much force he used, his arm seemed to be stuck to the blue-skinned man's body, unable to pull out. Disgusting. These guys' abilities are really annoying. Coming right away. You did very well. Giran was delighted in his heart and quickly pressed forward, wanting to launch a fatal blow to Sasuke. Wow! But in the sky there was a giant monster. Its speed was even faster than Giran's. The hawk in the sky let out a loud cry. With a whoosh, it suddenly swooped down, a pair of eagle claws tightly gripping the blue-skinned man's waist. Another turn shot straight up into the sky, followed by the blue-skinned man and Sasuke. Both of them were caught in the air together. Black Feather. Thank you. Sasuke broke out in cold sweat. It seemed that he was too careless and fell into the enemy's trap. However, this cannot be completely blamed on him. Not understanding the enemy's abilities and suffering a loss is an unavoidable situation. Wow! The hawk let out another loud cry. It flapped its wings and rushed straight up to a higher place. At the same time, the eagle's mouth suddenly reached down to explore, taking a mouthful of the blue-skinned man's neck. Immediately, the blue-skinned person screamed miserably. His neck was tightly clamped by the eagle's mouth, twisting and deforming. Although he did not die immediately, but under this kind of double torture, I'm afraid he won't be able to hold on for too long. Sasuke took advantage of the opportunity the hawk created for him. The electric current in Chidori's hand increased, and he used force to pull his arm back. Grab the hawk's claws and jump up, climbing onto the hawk's back. Great job, Sasuke. While Naruto was fighting with the others below, he also took the time to pay attention to Sasuke's situation on the other side. Seeing Sasuke and Black Feather cooperate so well, I couldn't help but praise them. Not understanding the opponent's strength and being surrounded and suppressed by two people, Sasuke being able to make it this far was already very good. At least compared to when he fought Kimimaro before, Sasuke's strength and battle strategy have both increased a lot. Disgusting, but you still have time to look around? A man about 1 meter 4 tall, his whole body covered in a black robe. The sunglasses under the eyes showed a trace of cruelty. Both hands suddenly raised towards Naruto's side waved. Dragon smoke! In just a flash, the pair of short and small hands transformed into 2 long mist dragons, hovering in the air and intertwining, tearing and biting towards Naruto. Cut! Dealing with you weak chickens. Do you still want me to go all out? Naruto disdainfully let out a soft snort, then with a whoosh, disappeared from sight. Crack crack. The 2 cigarettes had quite a bit of dragon power, directly biting off a large tree behind Naruto, causing his back to ache. The giant tree let out a loud creak and fell to the side. Zolfast disappeared. The dwarf man's face was filled with fear. His pupils suddenly dilated. Break! Before the dwarf man could react, Naruto had already reached in front of him, kicked him hard above the chin, sending him flying high into the air. Naruto once again pressed forward, and in the moment the dwarf man fell to the ground, he was already standing up first. In the hand, chakra air flow swirled around. A rotating chakra sphere condensed and formed. Rasengan! Boom boom tilde tilde tilde. The Rasengan hit the chest hard. The dwarf man screamed miserably. His body was sent flying downwards. A huge hole was blasted into his chest by the rotating air flow, and he died instantly. Naruto's side of the battlefield has the remaining people. There is also the bullhead monster, the crocodile monster, the masked man, plus the 5 elements that lost their combat power before. The oxhead monster and the crocodile monster originally wanted to take advantage of the dwarf man's delay to sneak up behind and attack. But seeing Naruto so sharp that he immediately finished off the dwarf man, the 2 of them glanced at each other and quickly stopped, not daring to approach Naruto again. That guy is really scary. We are no match for him. The crocodile monster retreated step by step. Before it could even attack him, it had already beaten the drums of retreat. You guys hold on first. I will immediately go back for reinforcements. The bullhead monster became even more direct, turning around and charging straight towards Naruto from behind, using several times more intensity than when it attacked Naruto earlier. But this time he rushed forward to attack, but only hit air. Or rather, he completely used this move alone to escape. The deer appeared more than 10 meters away in a flash, then ran away without looking back. Only the crocodile monster and the masked man, two relatively slow-moving guys, remained standing there, eyes wide open. These two people were so angry that they wanted to curse and wanted to kindly visit their ancestors, the ox-head monster, for 18 generations. You move the hammer to rescue? This place is so far away from the base. By the time you fucking finish transferring the reinforcements back, we'll all be killed by that little yellow-haired brat. Finally, the masked man was still relatively reliable. He suddenly raised his two hands, his sleeves pulled up, and two of his modified arms shot out with round tubes, pointing straight at Naruto. Brat! Look how good I am! The masked man roared, and the two black hands shot out round tubes, spitting out two grenade-like objects, which fell more than 2 meters in front of Naruto on the ground, making a clanging sound in the middle. Fuck! Playing with grenades! Naruto was a bit scared, quickly dodging and retreating backwards. This is really a grenade of words. The explosion is really powerful, cannot be too subjective. But the explosion never happened. The two grenades made a loud hissing sound, and a large amount of thick smoke rose, instantly covering that area of space. Moreover, the mist was still spreading, continuously rushing towards Naruto's position. So it's just playing with smoke? Don't you have any fresh patterns? Naruto immediately fell silent, jumped up the big tree, stepped on the tree trunk, and crossed that area of thick smoke, chasing towards the southern fog and the crocodile monster. Until now, Naruto just correctly inside this Mistman ability. Remember like this a little. The reason he wears a mask is probably because he releases smoke bombs that carry intense poison. After inhaling, the body will become limp and powerless. Therefore, Naruto may not have planned to touch those mists. He's coming. That kid is chasing after him. The crocodile monster moved with clumsy steps, closely following behind the masked man. The corner of his eye caught a glimpse of Naruto, chasing after him from the tree branch. The crocodile monster immediately cried out in alarm. Brother Crocodile, run! The masked man turned his head and glanced over, also discovering Naruto. The masked man knew that the crocodile monster's movements were slow, so he stopped and wanted to release 2 more smoke bombs into the air, giving the two people more time to escape. But in front of the masked man, just stopped, raised both hands ready to shoot. The crocodile monster rushed forward, suddenly reached out with both hands, grabbed the masked man's body, and threw it away behind Naruto. Damn it! Are you even human? The masked man's body lost weight and flew straight into the air. He cursed at the crocodile monster with tears streaming down his face, then felt a sharp pain in his back, as if something sharp was stabbing his back. Puffy! Naruto pulled his hand out of the Hiraition kunai, lifted his leg, and kicked hard, kicking the masked man who was hitting his chest out. Its combat consciousness was not at all ambiguous. Feeling the danger coming from behind, he quickly rolled forward, dodging the kunai shot. People like you, there is no way you can escape. Naruto's mouth corners revealed a confident smile. He let out a loud bang, turned into an orange lightning bolt, and disappeared from sight. Next, a blink of an eye, as kunai flew over the crocodile monster's head at the same time. Naruto also appeared on top of the crocodile monster's head. In the right hand, pale blue chakra air flowed around. A rotating chakra light sphere rapidly condensed and formed. Rasengan! The Rasengan hit the crocodile monster on the top of its head. This huge force made the crocodile monster's knees go soft. With a loud bang, it fell to the ground. Throw Kitsuchi to the ground to create a big hole at the same time. The crocodile monster's head also bloomed. Fresh blood fluttered and fell out. At the spot where it died, it fell down with a thud. The crocodile monster was greedy and wanted to use his teammates as punching bags to hold back Naruto's steps, giving himself enough time to escape. Maybe he didn't realize it at all. If the masked man had helped, the two of them might have been able to hold on for a longer time. There is no way. The crocodile monster is that kind of extremely selfish guy. When facing extreme danger, the first thing it thinks of is always itself. They even did not hesitate to push their teammates towards the abyss, just so they could buy a little more time to escape. Another side. The hawk still spread its wings and circled in the air. Its skin was caught by it. Even though its life force was stubborn, at this moment it was finally unable to resist the hawk's attack. Its neck was pulled down. The purple blood in the air sprayed out into steam, following the hawk flying in the sky, turning into a wave of slanted raindrops that fell. Take the human skin and skull and throw them down. But Sasuke, because of his fear of Girin's star-release ninjutsu, kept frowning and looking down, temporarily not wanting to attack. Just now when Naruto and these guys were fighting, Girin really used spirit-breaking dragon subduing to make the two giant trees instantly turn into pink crystals, transforming into two long dragons, heading towards the Sky Hawk and the AC ship. If Sasuke's triple jewel Sharingan hadn't seen it clearly in time, the Hawk would have been caught off guard and would have been fooled, having not found a suitable means of attack before. Sasuke also prepared to conduct a war of attrition. Sasuke can be damaged, but Girin can't. As long as Naruto on the other side is free, Girin has absolutely no chance. Disgusting. You two bastards. Girin raised his head to look at the sky revolving around the hawk, unable to do anything. When he saw that the little brothers he brought out were all dealt with by Naruto one by one, he knew that he probably had no chance of winning. Naruto jumped a few times and arrived at the five elements side. The five elements were still suffering from the aftereffects of the escape ninjutsu they had just used and had not yet recovered. Not many rounds in between, was immediately subdued by Naruto on the spot. Naruto held a kunai in one hand, placed it on the middle of the five elements' neck, and walked step by step towards Girin. Girin, we don't need to fight this battle, Naruto said with a faint laugh. Girin frowned. What do you mean by that? Uzumaki Naruto. Girin secretly grumbled in his heart. This little devil Naruto wouldn't consider using the five elements lives as a threat and let himself obediently come into line, right? If that's really the case, then this Uzumaki Naruto is really too naive. She and Ga do have just known each other for less than 2 days, but they don't have such a good relationship. But Naruto's next words made Girin slightly stunned, the anger on his face even more. What do you mean? Don't you understand? You can't beat me, and I don't want to kill you, Naruto said. Disgusting. You bastard. Girin gritted his teeth in anger. But she did not deny that what Naruto said was true. If Naruto really wanted to kill her, he would have already killed her in the last battle he fought with Orochimaru in the Land of Fire. Seeing as Girin is an elite Jinchuriki, he can naturally guess such a thing. But she still didn't want to understand. Why did this little devil called Uzumaki Naruto show mercy to her subordinates? Could it be that, when he said he had feelings for me before, he had intentions towards me? Thinking of this, Girin's face couldn't help but turn red. Although being liked by such a teenage brat, it can be proven that her unique feminine charm is not bad. But this little devil is really an enemy. Absolutely cannot have too much contact with him. How about it? Girin, would you like to consider joining my ninja village? As long as you are willing to join, from now on you will be my teammate. Today here you not only will not be dealt with by me, moreover, I promise that in the future I will let you live more comfortably and freely than now. Seeing Girin's uncertain expression, Naruto had no intention of continuing to write with her, and opened the door to see the mountain and explained his purpose. Anyway, Naruto came this time to take in his little brother. An outstanding guy like Girin? How could he just give up the opportunity to invite him? Akikwok. Kakashi's squad fought with the fake Itachi Uchiha in the woods for a long time before successfully winning. The squad members, in addition to the new Kakashi group of 3, also included Hyuga Branch's Hyuga and Tree, and Tsunagekyu's grandmother Chiyo. A total of 6 people, although 4 of them are just Han Ninja, but Hyuga and his Tree's strength is definitely not weak. Sai and that new bald boy also have some special abilities. The only thing that was a bit of a hindrance was little Sakura. At this time, little Sakura, although she had become Tsunade's disciple, had not yet mastered Tsunade's abilities. Her medical ninjutsu was only at the elementary stage. However, with Kakashi and Grandma Chiyo supporting them, it was still no problem for a large gang to defeat a fake Itachi Uchiha. My guy on the other side, facing the fake Kisame Hashigaki, naturally also ended up with victory. Guy band 4-people group, added 8th band 3-people group, Shino Aburame, Kiba Inuzuka, Yamanaka Minbless. Although these 7 people were suppressed by the fake Kisame Hashigaki from the beginning, the final solution was still to have my guy open the 6 gates and beat the enemy army to death with a single blow to the peacock. By this time, it was noon. Early in the morning, Kakashi's summoning beast pack had already found a place in the country of Haji's mountain range to observe the location of the river mouth. and had already used dog urine to mark it. The two teams of people gathered together, and after making some adjustments and resting, they followed Pack and ran all the way to the entrance of the cave hidden in the middle of the river. Kakashi, look at that big rock below. The aura on that kid called Gaara is coming from inside it. Pack raised his meaty dog hand and pointed at a large rock in the middle of the river below and said, "Search the place." "Good work, Pack." Kakashi nodded. The two groups of people glanced at each other, then slid down and stood on the slowly flowing river surface. "Hey, look at me." Rock Lee rushed forward, kicking horizontally at the large rock blocking the entrance, hoping to crush the giant rock. Lenoir's village tornado. Break. Unfortunately, Rock Lee's horizontal kick did not touch the rock at all, but only hit a layer of transparent light membrane on the rock's outer surface. In the transparent membrane of light, ripples appeared, causing all the force to completely disappear. "What's going on? Is there a barrier set up?" Sakura Haruno's eyes revealed doubt. She had been studying medical ninjutsu recently, so she could clearly see this kind of tiny chakra fluctuations. Byakuya. Hyuga Niji opened his Byakuya, wanting to use clairvoyance to hack and see clearly the situation inside. But he felt that the white-eye clairvoyance received some kind of blocking force on the large rock, making it impossible to see through the situation inside. "How is it, Niji?" my guy asked. "Useless. This place seems to have some kind of barrier formation set up." Hyuga Niji shook his head, then immediately raised his head to look at the large rock on the vertical cliff. That pale yellow talisman. It seems that all the secrets must be in that talisman above. Spacious in the cave, Gedamizu, demon statue of the outer path, still had its mouth wide open. The 9 blue chakra dragons in its mouth slowly moved, tightly holding Gaara in the air, pulling out each red-tailed beast chakra and sucking it into the statue's body. "What the hell happened? Boss, didn't you say it would be completed in 3 days and 3 nights? It's already the 4th day." Deidara opened his eyes and complained with some dissatisfaction. The right-hand seal is still condensed and stands in front of the person. But standing for such a long time, even for such powerful ninjas, the consumption was not much. But Deidara's impatience had begun to make him unable to bear the loneliness. Heavenly Dao Pain slowly opened his eyes, helplessly saying, "Such a situation. I didn't expect it either. It seems I was too hasty. Gedamizu, outer path demon statue, currently has some temporary problems. It needs more time to treat." Zetsu, Absolute, also opened his eyes, using that low hoarse voice said, "There are people outside already. It's that group of Konoha ninja." Kakuzu snorted softly and said, "Those people are really talented. They came here so quickly. What should we do?" Red Sand Sasori coldly said, "Don't worry. There are already mechanisms set up outside the cave. Wanting to enter casually is not that easy." The mechanism Sasori mentioned was the one Niji found that type of charm, within a radius of several kilometers. There are a total of 10 different places where that kind of ancient-style talisman is buried. Exiting the cave and entering this talisman, the moment the talisman in the 9 places is pulled down, a clone identical to the person who pulled down the talisman will appear. The strength of the clone is completely equal to the main body. Even the strength is the same. But the clone lacks the ability to never tire. The chakra can never be used up. In short, this talisman trap is a very perverted toy. If you have no way to fight your own clone again, break through your limits, and let your strength advance to a lower level, then there is absolutely no way to win against your clone. The final result is only 2. Either die at the hands of the clone, or have all of their chakra and stamina exhausted, and die on the spot. Zetsu, Absolute, is considered as a ground scout. Naturally, he has discovered the abnormal situation outside. He said in a deep voice, "You guys don't be too careless. That group of people inside have 2 Hyuga clan kids. They have discovered the mechanism Sasori left outside. They are trying to break it." Heavenly Dao Pain shook his head slightly. "Don't worry. Gedamizu, outer path demon statue, has absorbed enough time. Our mission is complete." As soon as his voice ended, Gaara's mouth was sucked out red chakra, and he also stopped abruptly. Seeing this scene, the 8 Akatsuki members standing at the Gedamizu outer path demon statue, fingertips all gave up the hand seals on their hands. And the 9-headed chakra dragon in Gedamizu's mouth slowly retracted back into its body. Gaara finally completely lost any life force, falling to the ground with a thud. Devapath Pain Yahiko said in a low voice, "Good. The matter here has an end first. But the previously arranged plan to capture the tailed beast needs to be put on hold for now. Gedamazu, demon statue of the outer path, needs more time to recover. Hiding behind the controller, Yahiko Nagato was a bit reluctant. It seemed that he was still too hasty. The Akatsuki organization's manpower, although had been almost fully recruited, but Gedamazu, outer path demon statue, still needed more time. Kakuza nodded slightly. That's exactly what I want. I've been keeping an eye on a few criminals with huge bounties lately. Maybe I'll have time to take down their heads and get enough rent in exchange. Devapath Pain Yahiko said in a deep voice. No, Kakuzu, according to Conan's investigation, recently in the other side of the country, they discovered a guy suitable to team up with you. We need you and me to go together and invite that guy back. Kakuzu was a little annoyed. What could be more important than catching a huge bounty on a criminal's head? Furthermore, in that ruined place of the country, Kakuzu had never heard of any outstanding ninja. Kakuzu frowned and said, Can you be sure? If that guy were to pull me back, I would definitely be the first to kill him. Conan opened her mouth to explain. Kakuzu, don't worry. That person claims to be from some kind of evil god cult organization, and has been active in that hidden village, killing quite a few ninjas. Moreover, his abilities seem to be somewhat similar to yours. He's an immortal. Immortal body? Kakuzu was a bit stunned, starting to feel a little interested. The more Deidara listened, the more he felt something was wrong. Let Kakuzu go guard the hidden village? Then what should he do after he sewed his arm back together? Hey, Kakuzu, aren't you willing to help me sew my arm back together first? Kakuzu, I told you, give me 10 million taels first. I will be willing to help you. Deidara, what a guy with eyes for money. Help me first, and then talk. I will give you money. Kakuzu, no problem. But the price above wanted to increase by 10% profit every month. Deidara, Zetsu, Absolute, slightly frowned, already sensing the change in the situation outside. Hurriedly reminded his teammates. Deidara, you don't make a fuss. Be careful with those people outside. They might not be easy to deal with. Good. Everyone go your separate ways. Heavenly Dao Pain Yahiko ordered in a deep voice. At the same time, his two hands' fingers continuously danced, forming the next special ninjutsu hand seal. After the seal was completed, the Gedamazu Outer Path demon statue, standing on the cliff, emitted a loud rumbling sound, slowly sinking into the ground and disappearing without a trace. Mr. The remaining Akatsuki members also canceled the color-changing projector clone and disappeared into the cave. In the end, only Deidara and Sasori, the red sand, remained, turning their heads to look at the cave entrance behind. Boom boom. Not a moment later, the giant rock outside emitted a loud explosion. Blocking the entrance of the cave was a large rock, which was attached with a large number of explosive symbols. It was blasted to pieces with a loud bang and scattered into the river. Hoo. 3 figures jumped in through the cave entrance, their eyes filled with vigilance as they glanced around to assess the situation inside the cave. Leading the way was a man with white hair, a vertical scar on his left eye, his pupils filled with blood, and 3 black pearls that were clearly visible. It was the team leader Kakashi Hatake. Another person had the same white hair, but her face was full of wrinkles. Looking very old, she was the long-standing and prestigious Sand Village ninja, Chiyo's grandmother. Following behind the 2 people was a cold, white-skinned male student, with an extremely handsome appearance, carrying a short knife on his back. He was a new member of Class 7 Psi. That Gara is over there, but he looks like he's dead. One wrong step and found Gara lying on the ground, breathing heavily. But the 2 guys, standing motionless in the cave, put enormous pressure on Sai, causing him to be unable to help but clutch the hilt of the short knife behind him. Those 2 are Akatsuki? Kakashi's expression was solemn. He also felt the pressure from the 2 people opposite. Grandma Chiyo saw the child for the first time and recognized it as a puppet, although the child and Sasori's appearance are extremely different. The only one who can play the puppet to this extent is his nephew, the Sand Village traitor Sasori. Sasori, long time no see. Grandma Chiyo's expression didn't change much. Now, after many years, she saw her grandson again. Her feelings were very complicated. I didn't expect you to come along too. The child's tail tip was constantly swinging, already in a position to attack at any time. Grandma Chiyo asked again, Sasori, why did you do that? What did you do by capturing the Jinchuriki of the Sand Village? I cannot answer these. Red Sand Chi, Sasori coldly replied. Of course, he would not casually reveal the secrets of the Akatsuki organization. Sasori-san? What's going on? Why do you sound like you know that old lady? Deidara asked, confused. At the same time, the remaining right hand, however, was not idle. Probing into the side of the ninja tool in the bag, in the palm of the mouth bit down a mass of white clay. Was creaking and started to chew and swallow. Red Sand Sasori glared at Deidara, his voice cold as he said, "Don't ask too much. Mind your own business." Humph, what a big temper. Deidara slightly annoyedly snorted. A small clay bird sprayed out from his palm. He turned his hand and gently threw it in front of him. Before the little clay bird could land on the ground, it suddenly exploded into a white mist, transforming into a 3-meter-long white giant bird. These Konoha guys don't look like much. I'll just come and play with them. Saying that, Deidara let himself jump onto the clay bird behind him. The big clay bird flapped its wings, and with a whoosh, it flew towards the cave entrance. Because the big bird's speed was too fast. Even though Kakashi and the other 3 promptly swung out several kunai, wanted to counterattack, they still didn't hit. In contrast, the clay bird flew past Kakashi's 3 heads, and a large white clay ball fell down. Those balls in the air exploded into small clouds of mist, turning into countless jumping algae. After landing on the ground, they jumped up with all their might, rushing towards Kakashi and the others. Be careful, everyone. These insects contain a large amount of chakra, Kakashi quickly reminded them. With the vision of his left eye Sharingan, he could see through the chakra energy contained within those clay fleas. Super Beast Ninja Technique Imitation Painting. Sai, absolutely not ambiguous, quickly took out his painting and brush. On the painting drew a large number of mice. As the Sai Ninjutsu seal was completed, the ink-colored mouse on the painting turned into a physical entity. And after landing on the ground, it took on even greater speed and flew towards those fleas. Boom boom tilde 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 boom boom tilde tilde tilde. The fleas and mice collided with each other, exploding into clusters of fire. Immediately water and debris were splashed everywhere. Although there were still quite a few fleas that crossed over and blocked the way of rats, without the advantage of numbers, Kakashi and Grandma Chio were easily dealt with. These Konoha guys really make people surprised. Deidara stood on the clay bird's back. At this time the clay bird was flapping its wings, looking at the situation inside from the cave entrance. Wrong. You come with me to chase the guy who uses explosives. Grandma Chio, please restrain yourself inside first. I will immediately look for reinforcements to come help you. Kakashi instantly made a judgment about the situation before his eyes. These 2 Akatsuki guys are not easy to mess with. But outside that has flying ability, only relying on Kakashi alone, there is no way to conduct close combat, can only be restrained by the opponent. So Kakashi made such a decision. I understand. Sai agreed, once again using the super verbal-tailed beast ninjutsu, creating a giant ink bird. Grandma Chio also nodded. Don't worry, Kakashi. I just happen to have some things to ask that kid Sasori. You don't need to worry about me. In the middle of the forest, Girin and Naruto's conversation continued. Girin frowned. She stared at Naruto's pair of blue eyes, wanting to see if Naruto was toying with her, or if he really wanted to invite her as an enemy. This is only a dozen years old little devil. The corner of his mouth, although carries that smile, calmly. But Girin could see that the smile only contained confidence, and did not carry any sarcasm or teasing. This guy really wants to invite me? Girin was surprised. She had only met the blonde boy before or twice. Moreover, every time they meet, conflicts break out. She has never been able to do that. Give this kid a good look. Why? Why do you want to do that? Girin asked the question in his heart. Naruto raised his chin and thought carefully for a moment. Why not? I don't have to tell you. I founded Ninja Village in the Land of Waves. But the Wave Country is a poor country, and there are no ninjas or really good resources. So, I need more people who can help me, and you are just one of them. Bad guy, I really think highly of you. Girin was stunned. Wave Country Ninja Village? Doesn't sound very appealing. But Yukimaru is currently being controlled by Yakushi Kabuto. If he can cooperate with this blonde boy, subdue Yakushi Kabuto, and force Yakushi Kabuto to give Yukimaru the antidote, it might also be a good choice. Thinking of this, Girin was a little moved. Maybe there had been so many conflicts before. It wasn't like Naruto could just casually say a few words and make Girin believe it. What makes you think that after Lord Orochimaru died in your hands, you can still successfully recruit me. Girin asked again. Naruto's mouth corners curled into a cold smile, and he said in a low voice, Girin, could it be that you? I really think that Orochimaru, since childhood has brought you people through suffering. The victim was rescued and left. Was he out of kindness? Tell me the truth. Orochimaru is definitely not a leader. He saved you, Girin, saved Kimimaro, and saved those children in the base. It was all because he saw your abilities and wanted to use you. This guy, he knows all these things? Girin's pupils constricted, and fear appeared on his face. Up until 2 days ago, Girin's intentionally sealed memories were not lost. Yakushi Kabuto had it taken out before. Girin had always been worried about Orochimaru's death. In my heart, I always wanted to find Naruto to take revenge. At this point, Girin is still completely devoted to Orochimaru. But when Girin carefully recalled how Orochimaru used her to do those bad things when she was young, even sparing no expense in destroying the last shred of kindness in her heart, Girin realized that Orochimaru was truly corrupt from start to finish. The feelings that had been loyal to Orochimaru for the past few years were completely overthrown 2 days ago. Right now, Girin's heart is filled with guilt towards Yukimaru. The only thing she wanted to do now was to rescue Yukimaru from Yakushi Kabuto's hands and let Yukimaru go out from that dark underground base. In the eyes, must capture Uchiha Sasuke. Bring him back to Yakushi Kabuto to serve is complete. Cannot do. At this time Sasuke was still riding on the hawk's back, circling in the sky. Another difficult Uzumaki Naruto, she basically had no chance. The remaining option is to follow the previously thought of method and call it this. Uzumaki Naruto, boy cooperation. No problem, but I need you to agree to one condition, Girin said slowly. Naruto's eyes revealed doubt. What? What conditions? Girin said. There's a child I know, currently being kidnapped by that Yakushi Kabuto, forced into the hands of hostages, leaving me without any means of resistance. If you are willing to agree with me and help me save that child, I will naturally. Also, willing to accept your invitation. Hearing the name Yakushi Kabuto, Naruto waved his sleeves indifferently. Yakushi Kabuto? It's a small matter. I can easily help you deal with him. Girin frowned and shouted. Things are not that simple. You bastard. Hey, first listen to me finish. Yukimaru was forced by that Kabuto guy. I have a way to save him. But Kabuto is truly a powerful medical ninja, proficient in researching these. That medical equipment and poison good. But Yukimaru's body was injected with deadly poison by Kabuto, so what we want to do? It's not as simple as killing Yakushi Kabuto. Hearing Girin give Yukimaru this name, Naruto's face was a little surprised. This guy is acquainted with Yukimaru at this time? How to remember, just like the original script, is to go seal and control the three tails. Point. Girin just had contact with Yukimaru. There were too many specifics. Naruto didn't want to ask too many questions. Hearing the meaning in Girin's mouth, it was probably that he wanted Naruto to cooperate. She subdued Yakushi Kabuto, again forcing Yakushi Kabuto to give the antidote. Talent is enough to complete this matter. Don't worry. There's no need to worry about this kind of thing. We just need to save Yukimaru, Naruto said confidently. Girin immediately became angry and shouted. I've just told you so much. Do you still not understand what I mean? We must. Good. Without waiting for Girin to finish speaking, Naruto lifted Tsuchi and broke her explanation. I understand what you mean. But to detoxify Yukimaru, there is absolutely no need for someone like Yakushi Kabuto. My master Tsunade is truly the most outstanding medical ninja in this ninja world. If even she cannot cure the poison, then even if you want to save Yukimaru with all your heart, I'm afraid there will be no medicine that can save you. Girin was dumbfounded again on the spot. Remember the last time she accompanied Orochimaru to the Land of Fire? She was looking for him. Tsunade heals with both hands. At that time, Uzumaki Naruto also met Tsunade for the first time. How come in the short span of less than a month, this Uzumaki Naruto guy has become Tsunade's disciple? This motherfucker clings to relationships really quite quickly. So, it is like this. Since you say so, then I can rest assured that damn Kabuto, it is time to send him to hell. Girin gritted her teeth, recalling the despicable thing Yakushi Kabuto did, actually using Yukimaru to threaten her. In her heart, she endured the fire in her stomach. Sister, you really want to cooperate with this guy? You shouldn't just trust someone like that. He's the one who killed Orochimaru. Still being restrained by Naruto, his physical strength had now recovered. He looked at Girin's uncertain expression and quickly spoke up to remind Girin. Girin glared at the 5 disciples. Shut up. I can handle my own business. I don't need someone like you to come teach me how to do things. Girin was very clear in his heart. What Naruto said was 80% true. First, she herself had nothing that could be exploited by the other party. Next, Tsunade's healing ninjutsu is a powerful technique that all ninjas in this world recognize. If only Naruto, that pervert, could help her save Yukimaru. Again, Tsunade helping Yukimaru detoxify, that really is an ideal plan. I really didn't see wrongly. You're still Girin-centric. Naruto slowly released the kunai clamped around Wu-Tu's neck, gently pushed him away, and brought him to Girin's side. Even though his life was in the hands of someone else, the 5 elements still dared to remind Girin like this. Obviously, he had already left the matter of life and death outside, just to make Girin be careful of being deceived. Hearing Naruto's reminder, Girin now understood the 5 elements' loyalty to him. She looked at the 5 figures with a little surprise, but did not say much. Katsuyu, who was leaning on Naruto's shoulder, suddenly twitched a pair of tentacles and opened her mouth to speak to Naruto. Naruto-kun. Mr. Kakashi is calling for your help from the past. Mr. Kakashi, Sai, and Grandma Chiyo have encountered 2 enemy members of the Akatsuki organization. Those 2 are very difficult to deal with. Tenten and Mr. Guy and the others on the other side are both restricted by a special type of trap spell, so they are temporarily unable to provide any help. Hearing the general information Katsuyu said, Naruto, based on the original script's direction, already deduced that Tenten and the others were probably being held back by his own clone. Naruto nodded slightly. So it's like this, I understand. Tenten, Kiba, Inuzuka, and the other's strength still hasn't fully increased. Fighting with his own clone was actually a very good fortuitous encounter that could increase his strength to a new level. Therefore, Naruto had secretly decided in his heart that even if he had to fly over to help, he would only go to Kakashi's team's other side. Tenten, Kiba, Inuzuka, and the others should temporarily handle it themselves. Too many people might get in the way. What happened? Do you have other team members in other locations? Girin also heard Katsuyu's conversation, his face filled with doubt. Naruto gently stroked his chin. But the other side of the battlefield has nothing to do with us. Girin, you just accepted my invitation. We can now be considered temporary teammates, right? That can be counted. Girin nodded, but couldn't help but mumble in his heart. What? This Uzumaki Naruto brat now has intentions towards me, dragging me to another battlefield to fight? There is still no news about rescuing Yukimaru. Is he being a bit too anxious? If you say so, then I am relieved. Saying that, Naruto took out the specially made Hiraishin kunai in his hand and threw it to Girin. This is my specially made kunai. As long as you carry it, I can be by your side at any time. I have other matters to take care of first, Girin. Your bull-headed monster subordinate has already run away. I think you can bring him back soon, right? Of course there is no problem. Girin accepted the kunai. A smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. She naturally understood the meaning behind Naruto's words. The bullhead monster fled. Regardless of whether he returned to Orochimaru's base as reinforcements or not, he would still flee to other places. Girin also could not give him a chance to survive. Naruto went to Dainchi country. He couldn't show up at will. If Yukimaru is not rescued, the guild's difficulty will increase greatly. If you say so, then I can rest assured. We will split up and act. I will come back to find you very soon, Naruto said, waving his hand towards Sasuke, who was still in the air. Sasuke, come down. We want to go to the other side of the battlefield. Understood. Sasuke jumped down from Black Feather's back and landed next to Naruto. Then I should also go do my own thing, 5 elements. Follow me. Girin turned around and jumped up the big tree, running towards the place where the bull-head monster fled. Wait for me a moment. The 5 elements followed closely behind. Kakebunsin no Jutsu, Sado Clone Technique. Naruto formed the Shadow Clone Hand Seal. A white mist exploded beside him. 3 identical Shadow Clone appeared. You guys, prepare to enter immortal form. There will be another fierce battle in a moment. The clone group raised their hands and cheered, found a hidden forest behind them, sat cross-legged on the ground, closed their eyes, and entered a state of absorbing natural energy. Sasuke, then let's go too. Kakashi-sensei on the other side is having a hard time dealing with that guy. Naruto raised his hand and grabbed Sasuke's arm. Without waiting for him to reply, He activated the Flying Thunder God technique. Wow! The two figures flashed and disappeared from sight. Only the hawk remained hovering in the sky, waiting for orders, let out a happy chirp, and flew away towards its home. If it could talk, the hawk would definitely take advantage of the moment Naruto and Sasuke left to immediately start cursing loudly. Two inhuman brats. Let me carry them on a tiring journey for 2 days, then ride nonstop in the woods looking for people for a day and a half. Finally can go back and have a good rest, ha 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 ha. Akikwok, the forest area in the middle. Deidara rode on the back of the white clay giant bird. The giant bird spread its wings and flew forward at high speed. Cut! These Konoha guys are really hateful. Looks like it's time to teach them a lesson. Having completed the work of sealing the one-tailed Jinchuriki, Deidara probably had no interest in these Leaf Village ninja. Or rather, Deidara didn't want to get involved with these people. But how, behind those two Leaf Village ninja, one of them also has the ability to manipulate large bird flight. The two people rode on the ink-colored bird above, chasing closely behind Deidara. Deidara's right hand probed into the side of the ninja tool in the bag, bit down a bunch of explosive clay, swallowed it, and then began to chew and swallow. When he mixed his own chakra into the explosive clay, his hand also made a popping sound, spitting out 6 small white birds. One line to solve you all? Deidara waved his hand back, and the 6 clay birds left his hand, causing a white mist to explode in the air. In just a flash, the 6 little clay birds all turned into 1-meter-long giant birds, as if their souls were poured into them, flapping their wings as they chased after the ink-colored giant bird that flew straight past. These birds flying above contain a large amount of chakra. They're definitely not ordinary things. Kakashi Hatake, through his left eye Sharingan, saw the mysterious flying bird clay. Collect, collect. He waved his hand and swung out 2 kunai, aiming towards the clay bird that was flying towards him. But that clay bird flew extremely agile, just a sudden movement of its wings, and it easily dodged past by tilting its body. But at the same time as the kunai wiped the bird's body and flew past, the 2 kunai tied at the tails of the 2 kunai burst into flames, and under Kakashi's urging, they ignited into flames. Boom boom, boom boom. 2 blazing fires exploded, causing the 2 clay birds' wings to be broken. In a moment, the 2 clay birds were unable to maintain their flight and fell straight down. It can be done, but it's a pity. My attack isn't that easy to break. Deidara's mouth corners carried a confident smile. Following his gaze, there was a slight pause, and within his mind, the remaining 4 clay birds flew, and 2 of them passed through the explosive talisman, erupting into billowing black smoke. Whoosh! 2 clay birds flew straight towards the ink-colored bird. Oh no! Even though Sai had tried his best to manipulate the ink color of the giant bird, Sora charged straight ahead. But in this kind of unprepared situation, he lost the initiative and was still approached by the 2 clay birds within 3 meters of him. Screech! Deidara let out a low shout. Boom boom tilde 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 boom boom tilde tilde tilde. The 2 giant clay birds instantly exploded, emitting a deafening sound, and 2 blazing flames exploded in the air. What? 2 useless Leaf Village ninja also died under my explosive art. Deidara chuckled, temporarily giving up the idea of running away, giving up the thought of watching the show, turning his head to observe behind. But in the next blink of an eye, the smile on Deidara's face stiffened a bit. In the thick smoke of the explosion, the 2 Leaf Village ninjas fell from above unharmed. Although the 2 of them looked extremely miserable as they fell, the truth was that they weren't blown to death. No way! Deidara could not believe his eyes. Through his left eye's electronic eye, he adjusted the focus. Only then did he sensitively discover that the white-haired man's left eye was actually, like Itachi Uchiha, a Sharingan. Could it be that that guy is relying on that eye that still exists? Deidara silently grunted. Wrong! Quickly! At this moment, the ink-colored bird was destroyed. Kakashi and Sai, both of them, immediately appeared and fell straight down. If they really fell to the ground from such a high place, then the 2 of them would undoubtedly die on the spot. The story was exactly as Deidara predicted. The reason Kakashi and Sai were able to survive such a powerful explosion was entirely due to Kakashi's left eye. At the moment the explosion of fire came, Kakashi was also forced to activate Kamui. Although he was in a hurry and didn't have time to prepare, Kakashi still had chakra condensed in his left eye, ready to deal with any danger at any time. Half of the explosive fire was distorted in space and entered the different space. I understand. Sai agreed, took out the painting and brush from his bag, and prepared to draw the ink-colored bird again. Cut! How can I give you such an opportunity? Deidara snorted softly, controlling the remaining 2 clay birds to spread their wings and swoop down towards Kakashi and the others. Senior Kakashi, it's too late. Sai's face was ashen. According to the speed of the 2 clay birds flying, he had drawn the tailed beast ninjutsu and didn't have time to complete it. Even if it could be completed, I'm afraid that the moment the 2 of them climbed onto the bird's back, they would be blown to death on the spot. Disgusting. Sharingan can't even condense chakra in time. Kakashi gritted his teeth, his heart filled with mixed emotions. The only reason he was able to avoid the first wave of explosive impact was because he was prepared, having previously condensed a large amount of chakra above his left eye. Maybe this eye is not something Kakashi himself possesses. Manjikyu is also a recently discovered one. Wanting to use, it requires a bit of time to activate. At the same time, condense the chakra on the left above the eye, which also takes some time. Can we really only stop here? Looking at the 2 clay birds flying towards him as they got closer and closer, Kakashi's heart also turned cold. I didn't think I was too subjective and wanted to die in this kind of place. But then in the blink of an eye, boom! 1 orange and 1 light blue, 2 figures, very suddenly appeared beside Kakashi. I kill. What's the situation? Naruto still didn't understand the situation, but he felt his body falling straight down. At the same time, the 2 clay birds that rushed towards them did not escape Naruto's gaze. Naruto probably retained all of his original memories from his previous life, so he was naturally very familiar with Deidara's explosive attack methods. Almost instinctively, Naruto waved his hand and threw a specially made Hiration kunai downwards. Grabbing the 3 people beside him, he immediately activated the Flying Thunder God technique. Boom boom, boom boom. The clay bird flew to the vicinity. In the air exploded 2 blazing fireballs. But at the moment the explosive impact wave hit, Naruto also brought the 3 people and disappeared into the air. Next moment, the 4 people landed safely on the ground. Who's saved? Naruto, you came at just the right time. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, that kind of instant death pressure feeling really made people extremely uncomfortable. That technique just now. Moreover, this guy who does not understand how to communicate with good people actually said a bunch of praise words. Kakashi-sensei, what kind of situation is this? How come Sasuke and I just happened to encounter this kind of situation? Naruto was a bit silent, looking around in a circle. Kakashi pointed at Deidara, who was still in the air, and reminded him in a low voice. That guy is the one who captured the one-tail Jinchuriki Gaara, the violent ninja. He's a difficult character to deal with. Ninja explosion. Naruto raised his head to look at Deidara, already having a general understanding of the matter. Sasuke didn't pay attention to anything else. His head kept looking left and right, as if he was searching for something. After looking around for a while, he found a guy with a severed arm in the air behind him. He immediately felt a little upset. Kakashi, where is Itachi Uchiha? Where is he? When Sasuke was fighting in the land of the dead, he was only a little bit distant from Naruto. As for the content of the letter Katsuyu reported, Sasuke was not so clear. At this moment, he was still stuck in a mood to seek revenge on Itachi. Not coming out from within, Kakashi stared at Deidara in the sky, preventing him from suddenly launching a sneak attack. Only then did he open his mouth to explain to Sasuke. Sasuke, the person we encountered earlier wasn't really Itachi Uchiha. It was just a clone of Itachi's while hidden on that person's body. But Itachi exists in this Akatsuki organization. This is absolutely certain. As long as we can catch that guy who uses explosive release ninjutsu, we will definitely be able to learn useful information from him. Kakashi's mind is very quick. He knew that once Sasuke encountered Itachi's matter, he would completely lose his mind. But now it was necessary to deal with the enemy. Kakashi informed Sasuke of the entire actual situation. This way he could stimulate Sasuke's fighting spirit and also let Sasuke calm down. Violent ninja? I understand. Sure enough, Sasuke regained some of his sanity and began to look at the large clay bird in the sky, as well as Deidara on its back. What the hell happened? Why did those 2 guys avoid the explosion I just created? Although the distance was very far, Deidara, through his right eye's electronic eye, also discovered Naruto and Sasuke's existence. That is, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? When Deidara discovered Naruto wearing an orange sportswear, a head of blonde hair behind, he immediately recognized Naruto's identity. Within the Akatsuki organization, basic information about each tailed beast Jinchuriki has been collected and presented to each member. Although Deidara was very arrogant, he did not carefully record the Jinchuriki's information. But hearing that Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hashigaki both had such high regard for the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, it was inevitable that Deidara would pay a little more attention to Naruto. That was really lucky, and yet so quickly I ran into the nine-tails Jinchuriki. But didn't this guy betray and flee to Konoha? Why is he hanging out with these Konoha ninja? Deidara muttered to himself, somewhat unaware of the situation before his eyes. Calculate. Then let me try how much weight the nine-tails Jinchuriki has. Saying that, Deidara probed his right hand into the clay ninja tool in its pouch. On the ground, Kakashi noticed Deidara's movements and knew that the opponent was about to launch an attack. He hurriedly made the fastest arrangement and instructed his teammates. Naruto, Grandma Chiyo is alone over there and is encountering an Akatsuki organization member. You should immediately rush over there and send reinforcements to Grandma Chiyo. As for this guy using explosive style, leave it to me and Sasuke. Send 3 people to deal with him. Is that so? Okay then. Naruto nodded slightly, not opening his mouth to refute. In the current situation, Kakashi's arrangement is the most suitable plan. Deidara was indeed difficult to deal with, but he had already broken an arm no matter what, so Kakashi and the others should have no problem dealing with him. But Grandma Chiyo on the other side is not like that. Although he was also a puppet master, Sasori had long surpassed his puppet master, his grandmother Chiyo, in terms of puppetry skills. If Chiyo was left alone to deal with Sasori, the Red Sand God, who knows how long she could last. Pack! Take Naruto and run to the other side of the cave immediately. Looking at Pack, who had just run over, Kakashi gave an order. Pack was panting and had just stopped when he received a new order. He was indeed a bit upset. I understand, Naruto. Follow me. But Pack still didn't say anything more, shaking his flesh hand, signaling Naruto to follow. Understood. Naruto nodded, quickly following Pack's footsteps. The nine-tails Jinchuriki wants to escape? No. It looks like it wants to go to Sasori-sama for reinforcements. Calculate. Big brother Sasori is really a guy 10 times more difficult to deal with than me. I will leave the nine-tailed Jinchuriki to him to deal with. Deidara muttered to himself, already determined in his heart to properly greet the 3 people below. Because the newly arrived ninja reinforcements, unexpectedly, there was a guy holding Sharingan. Moreover, just from appearance, that black-haired little devil actually resembles Itachi Uchiha quite a bit. That guy must be Itachi's little brother. Just right. Let's finish him off here. Another side. In the cave, 2 top puppet masters who had long been at odds began to fight. The flying tiger's mouth opened wide, and from its mouth, numerous poisonous needles were sprayed out, shooting towards Grandma Chiyo. Grandma Chiyo tried her best to avoid the poisonous needle attacks, using her puppet technique to summon 3 powerful puppets, each holding a pair of long swords in her hand, helping Grandma Chiyo block those poisonous needle attacks. But after dodging, Grandma Chiyo also seized the opportunity, controlling one of the puppets, quickly swooping down in the sky, using her long sword to stab the flying tiger puppet, Puffy. But the scorpion tail that flew from the tiger's tail was unusually responsive. He thrust forward forcefully and penetrated the puppet's body, successfully launching a counterattack. This kind of thing really has no way to catch me. The poisonous needle finished glancing. The flying tiger opened its mouth wide and closed it, speaking to Grandma Chiyo in a deep voice. Sasori, you still haven't answered my question. Why would your appearance change so drastically? Grandma Chiyo still can't understand, mistakenly thinking that the flying tiger is the real Sasori of the Red Sand. These things can design the secret of the puppet master. Why should I tell you this, old lady? Red Sand Sasori said in a deep voice. Speaking, the flying tiger's mouth slowly opened. The second batch of poisonous needles had already been inserted inside. Huh? The puppet master's secret? That scorpion-like body is basically just a puppet. A voice rang out from outside the cave, revealing Sasori's secret. Grandma Chiyo's face was slightly shocked. She turned her head to look at the cave entrance behind her and saw Pack leading a blonde-haired teenager, jumping into the cave. You Are you the one Kakashi was talking about? Grandma Chio asked. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but she couldn't see through Naruto's strength at all. Naruto stopped at Grandma Chio's side and nodded, saying, "That's right. I'm here to help you deal with that Sasori guy." As he spoke, Naruto also roughly scanned the situation inside the cave. In front of the ground, a large array of silver needles were planted, the number of which was so small that it made people sigh. Many places have traces of explosions, indicating that a fierce battle had just taken place here. And in the cave beside the lava, Gaara was lying on the ground, breathing heavily, as if he had completely lost all life. Sure enough, there weren't many similarities with the original work. Grandma Chio and the others were still a step too late and couldn't successfully save Gaara's life. Also don't know at this current time, can Grandma Chio willingly use her remaining life to exchange for Gaara's life? That little brat is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. How does he know my secret? Red Sand Sasori's heart was filled with surprise. You must know, he flew away from the tiger and this puppet outside his body. Other than himself, no one else knew the actual situation. When Conan invited Sasori to join the Akatsuki organization, it was said that a very intense battle took place. But in that battle, Sasori only displayed his flying tiger abilities and did not reveal his true form. After being restrained by Conan's secret paper technique, Sasori chose to give in and join the Akatsuki organization. Later, he started a team with Deidara. Although it can be said that Sasori and Deidara often quarreled over artistic concepts, a real fight never broke out. Mainly because Deidara had heard of Sasori's name long ago, he had some respect for Sasori in his heart. Your name is Uzumaki Naruto, right, Brad? How do you know Sasori's situation? As far as I know, you two should be meeting for the first time. Grandma Chio looked at Naruto with a face full of confusion, raising her inner doubts. Naruto nodded. That's right, Grandma. You could just call me Naruto. I made a rough judgment about Sasori's situation based on the information Katsuyu reported. Katsuyu leaned on Naruto's shoulder, cold sweat dripping down her forehead, somehow throwing the pot towards him. It wondered except for Naruto roughly reporting the situation here, Sasori really didn't say a word about the problem. However, Katsuyu also knew from Tsunade that Naruto had many secrets, so she did not expose Naruto on the spot. So that's how it is? Grandma Chio nodded, continuing to look towards Sasori's deep cave. In her heart, she naturally wouldn't believe Naruto giving this kind of reason. According to the general information Katsuyu heard from inside, you can judge that the flying tiger is a puppet on the outside. So I've played Puppet Master for more than a few decades, and I can't make such a judgment so easily. Do you really think Puppet Master's secrets are all cabbage? But, since Naruto was unwilling to say more, she also had no intention of continuing to ask, only giving Naruto a rough analysis of the current battle situation. Naruto, then I will call you that. Sasori is very powerful in controlling the puppets. Look at those silver needles on the ground. If possible, you absolutely should not be hurt by those things, because the top is covered with deadly poison. If you get even a little bit on it, you will die soon. This intelligence, if reported to Kakashi and the others, might be of some use. But Naruto really clearly understood all of Sasori's intelligence. No matter if it's a puppeteer or a ninja, those who are good at ninjutsu will not casually reveal themselves in front of the enemy. Once outsiders see, the opportunity is lost. But the current Naruto is not only extremely powerful, but also has a fairly good understanding of these exceptionally powerful people in the original work. Under this premise, dealing with them becomes much easier. But before Naruto could reply, the Red Sand Sasori could no longer hold back and started to move. Old lady, you talk too much. The flying tiger's mouth grew unbelievably large, spreading all the way to its ears. Flying tiger, golden needle, 8 waves. Hoo. Tiny silver needles were shot out from the flying tiger's mouth and flew straight towards Naruto and Chio. Naruto, watch out! Chio spoke up to remind at the same time, also busy controlling the remaining 2 puppets in her hands, blocking the person in front of him, swinging the long sword in his hand, knocking down those silver needles. Naruto also busily waved the kunai in his hand, dancing a tight defensive blade in front of him, knocking down the silver needle that was hitting the Senbon. At that moment, clanging and clanging sounds continuously rang out in the cave. Naruto dodged and blocked, then took the time to swing his hand and throw a specially made Hiraishin kunai, charging towards the flying tiger. Use Hiraishin to get close to me. Dream on. Naruto met Hiration this intelligence before that Itachi and Kisame had informed. At this moment, the Red Sand Sasori instantly discovered Naruto's intentions. The flying tiger's scorpion hammer on its back suddenly stretched out, expanding to a maximum distance of more than 3 meters in front of it, stabbing towards a specially made Hiration kunai in the other direction. Ding! The kunai was hit by the scorpion hammer and flew backwards, obliquely stabbing into a crevice in the cave's top. At the same time, the flying tiger's mouth opened wide and quickly closed. But the flying tiger's left arm suddenly probed out from under the black robe embroidered with red clouds, and tore off his own black robe and threw it away. Immediately, the flying tiger raised its left arm, pointing towards the cave where Sora was. Flying tiger hand Simban, a round wooden barrel-shaped arm, with a whoosh, flew out of the black hole along with the left forearm. After the wooden barrel stopped in the air, it quickly split into countless bamboo tubes, which stopped and rotated in the air. The bamboo tube shattered into pieces again, each bamboo tube shooting out dozens of silver Simban needles. In a moment, the cave in the sky turned into a Simban-shaped fortress. Countless additional poisonous Sunban silver needles, like raindrops, slanted down, flying towards Naruto and Chiyo. What kind of attack is this, that Sasori guy? Grandma Chiyo's eyes were filled with shock as she raised her head and looked up at the sky. This wave of Simban attacks also can't compare to those that were shot out from the flying tiger's mouth just now. That was like a raindrop leaning towards the Simban. The light was relying on the ninja tool to block it. It was completely ineffective. You care about the left, but don't pay attention to the right. Moreover, this kind of attack basically has no dead angle. It's completely a sure kill technique. Light shield wind mechanism puppet. The brief fear passed, and Chiyo immediately regained her composure. The puppet's 2 hands released probing chakra, one of which blocked the puppet's front, and a faint blue chakra energy instantly rose from its body, forming a transparent light shield behind it, protecting Chiyo behind her back. Ding, 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 ding. The sound of collision kept ringing. Sunban's silver needle raindrops, constantly touching the place where the entrance to the mountain cave is. The cliffs were covered with broken rocks that were scattered everywhere. The toxins on the Sunban formation infected the rocks, quickly dyeing them a deep green. The ground was immediately pierced with countless tiny silver needles, and the cave entrance had no foothold at all. Naruto, facing the swarm of tiny Sunban, appeared much more relaxed and at ease. He simply instinctively activated the Flying Thunder God technique. The body turned into an orange light and disappeared without a trace. In the next blink of an eye, Naruto's figure flashed at the top of the cave, his 2 legs clinging to the rock wall, hanging upside down to avoid this shower of needles. Although the Simban numbers were dense, the attack did not have any dead ends. But this dead end is just the area below the cave entrance. The cave's top cliff was not the range of Sasori's attack this time. Therefore, Naruto only activated Hiration once, and then casually dodged the past. The immortal form is still a little short of time. Naruto hung upside down at the top of the cliff, gritting his teeth and silently muttering a sentence. If at this moment one could enter the immortal form using the immortal form body teleportation technique, one would almost be able to ignore those flying tigers carrying poisonous hidden weapons and weapons. Charge up and bring the flying tiger to be crushed. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique. But Naruto didn't think for too long. Almost 2 feet stuck to the cliff top for less than 5 seconds. Already formed the shadow clone hand seal. 2 white mists exploded. 2 identical Narutos appeared beside them, their feet clinging to the cliff top. Collect, collect, collect. The newly appeared shadow clone immediately reached into the shinobi pouch on its back with both hands and between its fingers. It grabbed a few specially made Hiration kunai and waved its hand to throw them straight towards the flying tiger. Too naive. Red Sand Sasori let out a cold laugh. A kunai was unable to penetrate the scorpion tail defense line. Is it possible that more than 7 kunai will be effective? Almost in an instant, Sasori once again imitated. The scorpion tail rapidly probing forward, sweeping horizontally. Ding, ding, ding. 8 Hiration specially made kunai were all hit and sent flying towards one side. Disgusting, that technique. Could it be? But in the next blink of an eye, Sasori's heart was filled with shock. It turns out that the clone swung the kunai, just to stall for a bit of time, in Naruto's main body. After forming the Shadow Clone Hand Seal, immediately began to release the next ninjutsu, only to see Naruto's right hand raised high, chakra air flow swirling around his palm. A rotating chakra light sphere condensed out from his palm. Almost at the moment the light ball's condensation was completed, for wind wings grew out from the edge of the chakra light ball, emitting a deafening buzzing sound that continuously echoed within this cave, stimulating one's eardrums to the point of extreme discomfort. At this time, the silver needle raindrops had all been released. Grandma Chio's white puppet shield above her head dispersed and moved to the side, revealing the old figure below Chio. That child's technique. What terrifying power does it contain? Chio's face was filled with shock, and she couldn't help but continue to use the puppet thread to control the two puppets in her hands. Cut off the thread behind the puppet. Raise both hands to cover your ears. No way, this kind of noise is too hard for people to accept. Moreover, for a top-level puppet master, wanting to instantly connect with a puppet through a chakra thread is a very simple matter. If I were to be hit by that spell, I'm afraid my body would instantly die on the spot. Hiding inside the flying tiger's body, Sasori could feel the thing in Naruto's hand from afar, carrying an extremely dangerous aura. Although the flying tiger has a rich array of attack methods, its speed of action is too slow, and coupled with its extremely weak defense, it has no way of blocking too powerful a ninjutsu attack. Looks like I can only use that one move to block the defense. Although his heart was filled with uncertain factors, Sasori the Red Sand did not want to give up on the flying tiger just like that. The flying tiger's mouth suddenly widened, and a scroll opened from inside its mouth. A large 3 words suddenly appeared on the scroll. Wind Style, Universal Speaker Sword. Without waiting for Sasori to finish his hand movements, Naruto's ninjutsu had already condensed, and he waved his hand to throw the Rasen Shuriken in his hand towards the flying tiger. That technique, just like that, it was thrown out. Sasori's face was filled with fear. He originally thought that Naruto was going to use that ninjutsu in his hand to rush forward and launch an attack. If that's the case, then the third Kazekage puppet can be summoned to resist and defend. But if it was a method like Shuriken thrown out, he would no longer care about anything else, and quickly let his body break out from the bulky body of the flying tiger and leap towards the location behind the cave. Boom boom. The Rasen Shuriken hit the flying tiger's body, exploding into an eyesore of white light. The white light instantly covered a radius of more than 10 meters and shot straight up. The deafening explosion rang out, accompanied by a howling gale, accompanied by countless pieces of sand and small stones, spraying in all directions, making it impossible for people to open their eyes. Grandma Chio had no choice but to squint her eyes and continuously dodge her way back towards the cave entrance. At the same time, he controlled a puppet in his other hand, blocking it in front of him to prevent those rocks from hitting him. Seconds later, when the hurricane completely dissipated, the originally dimly lit cave was again illuminated by the sunlight that penetrated the dust and entered the cave. Standing there in the suburbs, Grandma Chio was finally able to open her eyes. How could this place be so ruined? Grandma Chio's eyes were filled with shock, her expression filled with disbelief as she scanned the surrounding situation. Just as Naruto threw out that Rasen Shuriken, the place where it exploded turned into a huge, deep hole. The flying tiger was already smashed to pieces on the spot. The broken wooden components scattered everywhere. The top of the cave was hit by that explosion, causing a large hole about 10 meters wide to be broken. In the cave, the sunlight was shining down from that big cave. Up until now, the large cave's outskirts still had quite a few cracked rocks, swaying as if they would collapse at any moment. But inside the cave, there was a particularly large black block with 4 sides standing upright on the ground. As the 4 directions slowly melted, they turned into pieces of black sand floating in the air. At the same time, a red-haired boy hiding behind the 4 directions, as well as the boy next to the third Kazekage, also appeared in Chio's grandmother and Naruto's sight. That is Sasori? How is it possible? Chio's grandmother's eyes once again revealed shock. She could never have expected that her grandson, who she had not seen for decades, would still maintain that childlike appearance. Naruto jumped a few times, returning to Grandma Chio's side. Sorry, Grandma, I made a bit too much of a fuss, it didn't reach you. Naruto, I'm not as weak as you think, but your ninjutsu just now was really scary. Grandma Chio shook her head. still looking at Sasori with eyes full of disbelief. Sasori also ignored Chiyo's grandmother's gaze and said in a low voice, "That's right, Uzumaki Naruto, right. You really are so strong that it's a bit unusual. I'm already very interested in your body. After I finish dealing with the 9 tails on your body, I will consider making your body into a puppet, letting him become my eternally perfect work of art," Sasori said indifferently, his words already treating Naruto as prey. Although Sasori was also surprised by the power of Naruto's ninjutsu just now, he didn't think that with just that one ninjutsu, he could defeat him. "I was afraid you didn't have the ability." Naruto smiled faintly. For this group of art-playing guys, Naruto could not agree with their point of view. "What, you acknowledge my strength, and then you have to turn me into a puppet? So you still go find someone else?" "Sasori, what the hell happened? Why are you still acting like this?" Grandma Chiyo finally couldn't suppress her doubts and asked Sasori. Sasori did not intentionally avoid the issue and said in a low voice, "Maintaining this appearance? Isn't this obvious? A very simple matter? The human body is truly too weak, unable to withstand birth, aging, sickness, and death, unable to withstand the ravages of time. My art can be the one that can preserve my body forever. Only this kind of eternal beauty is truly art." Hearing these sentences, Grandma Chiyo roughly understood. Even though Sasori didn't say it clearly, he turned his body into a puppet. But similarly, using his own arms to make a puppet Chiyo, how could he not understand the principle behind it? "I really didn't expect it, Sasori. You're actually obsessed to this extent." Chiyo understood very well in her heart that the reason why Sasori became like this was mainly because of the stimulation of his parents dying on the battlefield. When he was young, he made his parents' corpses into puppets, holding one on his left and one on his right side. Thinking back to seeing this scene with her own eyes before, Chiyo couldn't help but feel endless sorrow in her heart. Hachi Kwak on the other side, Kakashi, Uchiha Sasuke, Sai, 3 people still entangled with Deidara. After just a simple conversation, Kakashi and Sai had already reported Deidara's general information to Sasuke. The 3 people followed Kakashi's battle plan and did not continue using their flying abilities to pursue. Lacking defensive capabilities in the air, and without the obstacles on the ground to form defenses, it would pose a huge threat to the safety of the 3 of them. Following Kakashi's orders, the 3 of them worked together to block Deidara's explosive attacks. At the same time, Kakashi also began to prepare to activate his left eye's dojutsu to counterattack the enemy. Chakra convergence complete. This strike must break his neck. Finally, while chasing Kakashi forward, the tightly closed left eye suddenly opened. This was the second time he used this new technique. Kakashi actually didn't have much confidence. But the 3 people in front of them all had no better means of attack, and could directly use this technique to counterattack. Kamui. The black, jade-like lines inside the pupil moved, and the space behind Deidara began to distort and wriggle. Disgusting. What the hell is this? Deidara felt his body being pulled by a gravitational force, trying his best to resist, but found that he was unable to escape from the twisted space inside Uzumaki. The second time using Kamui Kakashi, he had more experience than the previous time. His pupils suddenly stared, bursting out with streaks of blood red, and he wanted to use his increased eye power to release it, breaking Deidara's neck. But unfortunately, Kakashi still has no way to accurately grasp the control of this technique. The original space distortion and vibration in the middle of Deidara's neck was slightly shifted and moved to Deidara's right arm. Crackle. Ah! Deidara screamed miserably, without any warning. His remaining arm was broken. Fresh blood spurted from the cut. Deidara was in so much pain that he knelt down on one knee on the clay bird's back. His eyes filled with anger as he turned his head to look at Kakashi. Disgusting. Is it that damnable dojutsu ability again? When I was fighting with the One-Tails, I accidentally lost an arm. Now that my right arm is broken, there is no way to form seals to release ninjutsu. In his mind, thoughts were rapidly circulating. Deidara had already made up his mind and wanted to immediately start running away. If he insisted on not fighting the other party, but just ran for his life, the other party's 3 people would have no way of capturing him. Collection. Just as Deidara turned his head to look behind him at the 3 people chasing him on the continent, he made a decision in his heart. In front of the forest in the middle, suddenly rushed out a huge hawk straight towards him, swooping down in front of him. On the back of the hawk stood a black-haired youth. In the youth's hand appeared a dazzling lightning. The person let go of the eagle's cover and jumped down, waving his palm towards Daidara's heart. Oh no! Daidara's face was filled with fear. He had been only worried about the pursuers behind him. But he didn't know when the young man with Sharingan would leave the group and surround him. But why are there 3 pursuers behind? In a flash, Daidara didn't have time to think again. He jumped down from the clay bird on its back. But that big clay bird suddenly tilted its body, blocking in front of Daidara. Puffy puffy. Chidori electric current split the clay bird into 2, then cut it out. Split into 2 halves. The clay bird followed Daidara's back and fell towards the ground. And Sasuke's body, flying into the air, originally also appeared in the air and fell down. But the hawk flew straight past, circled around in the air, and then returned to its seat, holding Sasuke firmly on its back. Beautiful one hit. Sai on the face revealed a fake smile. Without head or tail, praised the sentence. And Uchiha Sasuke, who had been following him leaping and chasing after him, also turned into a pool of black ink, scattering on the ground. Wrong! That guy is not dead yet. Quickly chase after him and take him down. Kakashi urged him on, increasing his speed towards the tree in front of him. Although it was seen that Daidara's fall from the sky just now wasn't too far. But to truly chase after the past like that, it still needed some time. Daidara fell from a high place. Luckily below was a forest. There were many branches to help reduce the falling trend. Although that black robe with red clouds embroidered on it was rubbed to pieces, its body immediately had streaks of blood stains. But compared to directly falling to the ground and losing one's life, this type of injury is already very light. Cut! These Konoha guys are really hard to deal with. Daidara gritted his teeth in pain, and the hatred he felt for the Sharingan in his heart grew deeper. The 2 guys who attacked him both possessed that hateful Sharingan. But his current situation is already very dangerous. Give up resistance. Without both arms, you can't form seals, and you can't run away with us. Kakashi Hatake and Sai, one on the left and one on the right, jumped over from a large tree not far away. Sasuke rode on the hawk's back, constantly circling Daidara in the air, to prevent him from having any chance to escape. Disgusting. These guys are really annoying. Daidara gritted his teeth, cursed under his breath, and turned his head to look around. Very quickly, Daidara discovered that the clay bird that had fallen on its side, including himself, had stopped more than 10 meters below a large tree. Without any hesitation, he jumped towards the other side and opened his mouth to bite down a piece of clay. After swallowing a few mouthfuls, his throat moved up and down for a while, and he swallowed the clay. If you say so, then you will understand how powerful my art truly is. Daidara chuckled softly, and immediately his body began to expand. First was the abdomen, followed by the body and limbs. The entire person swelled to 3 times its original size, and was still continuing to swell and expand. Stop! Don't come near so casually. That guy looks like he wants to self-destruct. Kakashi's face was filled with fear. He quickly stopped and raised his hand to stop Sai. But at this moment, the 2 of them were less than 10 meters away from Daidara. An extremely dangerous feeling rushed into people's hearts. Kakashi and Sai quickly flew backwards and ran away. Even the hawk in the sky revealed a look of fear, quickly flapping its wings and charging straight towards the higher sky. Screech! Arta's explosion! Daidara's body had swollen into a giant ball. Immediately, his entire body exploded with a loud bang, raising a wave of sky-high flames that spread out in all directions. The surrounding giant tree instantly turned into pieces, and the mud on the ground was immediately dug up into a huge, deep hole, just as the sky-shattering fire was about to strike. Kakashi's left eye's pupil rapidly moved, activating the Mangekyo Sharingan's special skill. Kamui! The large space rapidly distorted. After experiencing the previous 2 failed dojutsu releases, Kakashi's accuracy this time was unusually high. Furthermore, the explosive area had already spread very widely, and Kakashi still used his space distortion ability to teleport that huge fire into the different space. Disappeared. Sai stared at everything behind him, his eyes wide open. The original feeling of extreme danger was gone. Facing the fierce explosion of fire, all of it disappeared without a trace, leaving only a huge crater on the ground more than 10 meters away, proving that the self-destruction just now really did happen. Huho Kakashi kept panting heavily, covering his left eye with his hand, revealing a pained expression. causing his body to tremble violently. How is it? Kakashi-senpai. Sai discovered Kakashi's abnormality and quickly wanted to go back to see. But before he could get close, Kakashi could no longer hold on and fell face down on the ground with a thud. What the hell happened? Was that terrifying explosion just now all moved away by Kakashi using his dojutsu ability? Sasuke stood on the hawk's back, his face filled with disbelief. The view in the sky was very clear. Just now that large area of space distorted and shook. But it did not escape Sasuke's pair of sensitive Sharingan. That kind of space distortion ability, is it the Mangekyo Sharingan Dojutsu that Naruto mentioned before? Sasuke gritted his teeth, feeling a trace of jealousy towards Kakashi, an outsider who possessed this kind of Uchiha Dojutsu. That Naruto guy also has an Uchiha clan Sharingan. Seems to be Mangekyo. Not sure what kind of Dojutsu he has. Sasori, it's all because I was only concerned with killing enemies on the battlefield back then. I didn't give you good ideological guidance, which is why you've ended up in this state today. In the cave, the skull of the old lady Chiyo was slightly lowered. Her face was full of pain. Thinking back to how she had fought and dedicated her entire life to the Sand Village, ignoring the care and love of her family, Chiyo was filled with regret. Old lady, what's the point of saying these things now? Do you still want to continue lecturing me in such an elder's tone? Rest assured, today, I will accept both you and this nine-tailed Jinchuriki brat's body, making you two become my eternal art. Sasori also seemed to not be in a good mood, not wanting to have too much emotional conversation with Chiyo. While speaking, his two hands' fingers moved slightly. The chakra threads connecting his fingertips initiated a burst of light, urging the third Kazekage puppet to fly straight towards Naruto and Grandma Chiyo. Senju in action. The third Kazekage's puppet arms suddenly stretched out, bamboo arms extending from the puppet arms, turning into tiny hands and slapped towards Naruto and Chiyo. Looking carefully, those bamboo arms' palms all had a long blade extending out. On the blade surface, one could see shallow, blue toxic drops of medicine falling. Grandma Chiyo hurriedly controlled the red and white puppets in her hand, while dodging the bamboo arm attack. One side controlled the puppet and waved the twin blades, bringing Sora's palms that were directly hitting the bamboo trees down. Each one fell to the ground. Earth flowing wall? Naruto forms the next earth release ninjutsu hand seal. Squat down and pat the ground with both palms. Boom boom. The ground shook slightly, and a 3-meter wide yellow earth wall broke through the ground, blocking Naruto's path. For a moment, the dense bamboo arms that were coming from the opposite direction were mostly blocked by the earthen wall. But there were even more bamboo arms, winding around the earthen walls on both sides, once again heading towards Naruto and Chiyo. Taking advantage of the moment the earthen wall blocked him, Naruto took off the bandage covering his left eye, revealing the blood-red Kurenai triple-hook jewel Sharingan inside. Under the Sharingan's clear vision below, Naruto continuously swayed his body left and right, dodging each bamboo arm that was grabbing him. Those bamboo arms all stabbed into the ground one by one, in almost no time, turning the outer perimeter of the cave into a dense bamboo forest. Naruto and Grandma Chiyo were both surrounded by bamboo in the deep central layer, surrounded by bamboo arms everywhere. Very talented, but this time you can still so leisurely avoid the past. Sasori smiled faintly. His two hands in the middle of the chakra thread danced again, controlling the third Kazekage puppet, launching the next wave of attacks. As Sasori's chakra strings danced, the bamboo arms suddenly burst open with cracks. Large patches of purple mist sprayed out from those cracks, instantly enclosing that area of space, making the visibility of the naked eye almost zero. Naruto brat, absolutely do not inhale this purple mist. It contains deadly poison, Grandma Chiyo loudly reminded Naruto. Although her main body was not injured at this time, the two puppets that were being manipulated in her hands were already damaged by the bamboo arm, and their parts were scattered everywhere. No way, Sasori's attack is just too perverted. Not only was the attack range dense and wide, there was also no spare room to dodge. Those two dark red puppets, although Chiyo used all her strength to control them to block, still could not resist the suppression of quantity, finally breaking out. At the same time Naruto reminded her, Grandma Chiyo immediately held her breath. At the same time, she took out a scroll from her sleeve and swung her hand to open it downwards. Haku's secret technique can take down 10 of them. There was a huge 10 character on the scroll, and after Chio formed a seal with both hands, the scroll exploded with a white mist. 10 white-robed puppets guarded Grandma Chio in the center. This is Grandma Chio's strongest puppet secret technique, 10-finger technique. It is also a finger to manipulate a puppet, to be honored with a heavenly opportunity. Swish, 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 swish. As Chio grandmother's 2 hands danced with her fingers, she controlled the chakra thread to dance with the Baitang Koi in her hand, directly swinging it towards those bamboo-sectioned arms around her. Crackling sounds rang out continuously. Not a moment later, Grandma Chio had already carved out a path, escaping the purple mist that covered the area, standing at the side of the cave, gasping for breath. What happened to that Naruto kid? Grandma Chio's eyes were filled with worry, looking at the area surrounded by bamboo arms, afraid that Naruto had been poisoned. But before she could take a few breaths, Sasori had already manipulated the puppet and launched the next wave of attacks towards her, only to see that bamboo arm grow a series of pitch-black cannons. From the cannons they shot out countless kunai, shooting towards Chio. Chio did not dare to delay at all, hurriedly controlling the white pine 10 guards, blocking those dense kunai attacks in front of her. Another side. At the moment the poisonous mist spread out from those bamboo arm segments, Naruto immediately activated Hiration to escape. Bamboo arm can avoid a little, play a little, but this little poisonous mist is no joke. Naruto has no antidote, and even more so, his medical ninjutsu has not reached the point where he can mix an antidote. If you accidentally inhale a little bit, you will be poisoned and fall to the ground on the spot. At this time, Naruto stood at the left side of the cave cliff, with his specially made Hiration kunai stuck in his foot. This was when the flying tiger scorpion tail swept past, sending the kunai flying over here. Reverse also, just in time, became Naruto escape that purple mist distance range jump point coordinates. In the middle of the forest of Dainshi country, a Naruto shadow clone sat cross-legged under the tree, eyes closed, absorbing and sensing this natural energy. Several little sparrows stood above Naruto's shadow clone's head, using their mouths to peck at Naruto's long golden hair, as if they wanted to find insects to peck it from inside. Suddenly, a layer of tangerine-colored eyeshadow appeared on Naruto's shadow clone's eyelids. He slowly opened his eyes, a smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. The immortal form is finally officially completed. The other side's main body is also impatiently waiting. Bang! The shadow clone exploded into a white mist, startling the sparrows, causing them to flap their wings in fear and flee up the tree. The sage chakra returned to his body, and in an instant, Naruto's appearance in the cave underwent a slight change. Tangerine-colored eye images appeared on his eyelids, entering sage mode. First take Gaara's body away, lest we wait until a fight later and implicate his body. Naruto thought so in his heart, turned his head to look more than 10 meters away, quietly lying on the ground, Gaara's body. That guy! He used that hateful Hiration body flicker technique to escape again? No. Somehow it feels like he has undergone a slight change. Standing behind the third Kazekage, the red sand puppet Sasori immediately discovered Naruto standing next to the cave. With a fleeting feeling, Sasori discovered Naruto's abnormality, but he couldn't say what exactly had changed. Out of instinct, Sasori also gave Naruto a portion of the meals he had prepared to deal with his grandmother Chio. Crack, crack. Bamboo arm inside, along the large amount of black cannon muzzle. Inside the cannon muzzle flew out a lot of tiny kunai, towards Naruto, fired past. Sasori, don't be in a hurry. I'll come back and play with you in a moment. Naruto smiled faintly. His 2 hands slightly stretched out, the gap in between already clamped 8 Hiration specially made kunai, waved his hands, then headed towards Sasori's other side. Not caring whether the kunai hit or not, Naruto immediately activated the Sage Shape-Shift technique and disappeared from the spot. Orange figures flashed in succession. Naruto had already reached Gaara's side, squatted down, and gently hugged Gaara. Wow! Flying Thunder God technique activated. Naruto hugged Gaara and disappeared into the cave. The Ninetales Jinchuriki is hiding? Sasori still carefully controlled the third Kazekage puppet, using those piles of black sand to condense into Tekai, sending 8 specially made Hiration kunai flying. Since he was afraid of Naruto's powerful attack, Sasori was extremely careful, not daring to let the other party have any chance to get close. But Sasori at this moment still couldn't understand. Why would Naruto still want to save Gaara who had already died? Just as he was about to launch the next attack on Grandma Chio. Bang! A ray of orange light flashed. Just as Naruto disappeared without a trace, he once again returned to the cave. At the same time, this time it was not just Naruto who returned, but also a Rasen Shuriken raised high in his right hand. Oh my! This guy is really careful. Naruto muttered in frustration, originally wanting to take advantage of this opportunity to save Gaara. Taking advantage of the Hiratian special kunai he had just thrown out, he created a distance just enough to get close to Sasori. Hiratian returned in a flash and gave Sasori a big move. But he didn't expect Sasori to be so careful, shooting all of the Hiratian's specially made kunai more than 10 meters away, not giving Naruto this chance. BBB. The ear-piercing sound of the Rasen Shuriken rubbing against each other echoed once again in the cave, causing one's eardrums to ache. Wind style, universal speaker sword. Naruto swung his hand and threw the Rasen Shuriken towards the red sand Sasori's position. Useless. Your move is very powerful, but similar moves are useless against me. Red Sand Sasori reacted extremely quickly. The moment Naruto appeared in the cave, he had already controlled the third Kazekage puppet, breaking away from the bamboo arm area. Boom boom tilde tilde tilde. The third Kazekage blocked in front of Sasori. A large black mass sprayed out from his mouth, forming a thick sand iron wall in front of him. Boom boom tilde tilde tilde. The Rasen Shuriken hit the sand iron on the wall, exploding into a blinding white light. In the cave, the wind howled again, and white light shot up to the sky. The impact wave of the explosion completely shattered the cliff that had already swayed and was about to fall. Large pieces of broken rock collapsed into the cave, making rumbling noises. For a moment, the smelly dust flew everywhere, making the naked eye's visibility range much lower. But through the Sharingan vision enhancement of his right eye, Naruto still clearly saw the situation inside the mountain peak. As the white light of the Rasen Shuriken disappeared, behind a pile of collapsed rubble, the sand iron wall was blown apart and scattered in all directions. But the truth was just as the red sand Sasori had just said. The explosive impact waves were not able to break through the thick defense of the sand iron wall. Also don't know how thick Sasori made the sand iron wall. On the contrary, Naruto here is unable to see through the entire thickness. What a difficult guy. Only now did Naruto feel Sasori's strength. As expected of a person that even Deidara, that arrogant guy, would respect. Fighting is not only about being careful, but also not letting the opponent keep any means of counterattack. He knew that Naruto could rely on the Flying Thunder God technique and was proficient in close combat, but he was staring at those specially made Hiratian kunai, not giving any kunai a chance to get close to him. If you say so, then the only way is to use force. Thinking about it, Naruto was no longer prepared to hold back his strength. 8 gates Dunjia 6th level gate. Open. Standing with arms crossed in front of him, the skin on his entire face was stretched tight. Blue veins were bulging from head to toe, constantly bulging on his forehead. The 6 major acupoints on the body were all thoroughly opened and activated. A silvery green steam erupted from Naruto's body, causing the zipper of his orange sports suit to explode. The green steam shot straight up into Sora's cave, causing the dust that had just landed to once again fly into the air. Still the previous method to fight Orochimaru, Sage Mode plus the 6th gate of 8 gates release, to deal with a red sand Sasori, should be completely enough. Wow! Naruto's figure flashed, and in a blink of an eye, he disappeared from sight. Zofast, on the other side, just as Chiyo's grandmother had just figured out what was going on. She was looking for an opportunity to manipulate nearly 10 of them to launch an attack on Sasori, when she happened to catch a glimpse of Naruto's situation on the other side. This guy, is this the 8 gates release technique Kisame was talking about earlier? What a perverted speed. Sasori's face was equally terrified. When the Rasen Shuriken's explosive impact wave receded, Sasori also controlled the third Kazekage puppet, causing the sand iron wall to disappear, turning into a large piece of black sand iron that hung in the sky, ready to fight at any time. Seeing Naruto transform into a green afterimage and fly straight towards him, Sasori no longer hesitated, manipulating the third Hokage puppet to immediately activate the sand iron secret technique. Satai Taivu. Hoo. Sand iron condensed into small iron balls in the air, like bullets, shooting towards Naruto without any gaps. Drink! Naruto also did not have any confusion, raised a foot and kicked the stone pestle on top of a large rock. Immediately, the giant boulder, as tall as a person, received the enormous force of the impact and flew straight towards the third Kazekage puppet on the other side. And Naruto also suddenly stepped on the ground, his body so fast that it turned into an afterimage, following closely behind the giant rock, relying on the giant rock to support and block those sand iron bullets, and quickly shot forward. Disappeared? How? Sasori's face was hazy, unable to make out the situation before his eyes. Immediately saw Naruto kick a giant rock, then immediately disappeared into the distance. But very quickly, the Red Sand Sasori realized that the situation was not right, guessed that Naruto was hiding behind the giant rock, and rushed towards him. Anyway, with the speed Naruto displayed when he opened the 6th gate of 8 gates release just now, it is possible. The Sand World Law. Sasori, an experienced veteran, realized the problem in an instant and immediately controlled the third Kazekage puppet, activating the next sand iron skill. Ba. The sand iron in the air rapidly condensed, turning into long, thin black iron needles that pierced straight down from above. Those steel needles stuck into the ground in the rock, emitting a popping sound, spreading in small numbers towards the direction of the flying giant rock. Jingle! Although the giant rock broke dozens of black iron needles, the number of these needles was too much, and their density and hardness were both extremely strong. The giant rock received resistance and moved forward less than 3 meters before falling to the ground with a loud bang. But Naruto seemed to have anticipated Sasori's attack. At the same time, Sasori manipulated the puppet to launch an attack. Naruto also swung his hand and threw out a specially made Hirashin kunai, flying out from the giant rock beside him, shooting straight towards the third Kazekage puppet. This time, even though the Red Sand Sasori's ability to react was fast, he still couldn't react in time. Unable to condense the Sand Tekai in time to block the Hirashin specially made kunai attack. Wow! Almost in the air, the black iron needle pierced Naruto from less than 30 centimeters away. Naruto seized this close-range opportunity and activated the Flying Thunder God technique. The body turned into an orange light and flashed, appearing in front of the third Kazekage. A powerful punch was swung out, smashing into the puppet's heart. A loud bang. The puppet's core body was completely destroyed, and its components immediately flew out in all directions. And behind Naruto, the densely packed sand iron needles stuck into the ground also instantly lost the control of the third Kazekage's puppet. With a swish sound, all of them scattered and fell down, on the ground filled with rubble, spreading a thick layer of black sand iron. The most proud puppet is gone. This time this guy, are finally not so difficult to deal with. Naruto swung out a punch, but his body paused slightly. Then he once again pressed forward, rushing towards Sasori's original body. This guy, his speed is so fast that it's a bit unusual. Sasori's face was slightly shocked, not daring to have any indifference. He reached out and took off the black robe embroidered with red clouds on his body, still lying on the ground. Revealing inside was a puppet body, raising both hands ready to launch an attack towards Naruto. Elfie formation. Sasori's red sand palms stretched out, and along the 2 pitch-black hollow tubes in his palms, 2 clusters of flames instantly erupted from the hollow control area. The 2 seas of fire merged together. The fire was extremely fierce, covering half of the cave space. Sasori had all the spaces in front of him that could be attacked directly sealed. The scorching heat caused the air to distort slightly, and the rocks on the ground were burned until they made cracking sounds, revealing streaks of ice. I will not give you the chance to get close, Sasori muttered to himself. Just now, Kisame Hashigaki fought with a guy using 8 gates release. He told him the general information about the battle situation. Sasori clearly understood in his heart that the 8 gates release technique user speed was so fast that the naked eye could not capture it. Although his body is hidden with countless organs, he is not afraid of close combat. But if even the enemy's speed cannot be captured, then this puppet's body's weak point will be exposed extremely. Collection. At this moment, the hot waves of fire spread out in the middle of the collapsing cave, filling it with a dazzling crimson light, making it impossible for anyone to see the situation behind. But especially made Hirashin kunai pass through the fire waves. Immediately after that, Uzumaki Naruto jumped into the air as the fire wave faced him, clearly seeing the general situation on Sasori's side. Still want to use the Flying Thunder God technique close-up? This guy really hasn't given up yet. Red Sand Sasori snorted softly. His abdominal organ opened with a rustle, revealing a roll of iron wire inside. Making the iron wire appear in the air in an instant, it was as if some kind of latch had been activated. Whoosh! The iron wire spike was a sharp iron rod, shot straight out, piercing through the fire wave and stabbing towards the specially made Hiraishin kunai. The iron wire spike and the specially made Hiraishin kunai collided. Sparks flying in the air, the kunai was chipped and lost its resistance, flying to one side. But almost at the moment when the iron wires tip and the kunai collided, a trace of a satisfied smile appeared on the corner of Naruto's mouth. Wow! Flying Thunder God technique activated. Naruto's figure disappeared from the sky behind the sea of fire. In the next blink of an eye, Naruto appeared on the other side of the sea of fire with a specially made kunai beside him. Reach out with force and grab forward, catch the iron wire in midair, and hold it tightly in your hand. You've been fooled, Sasori. As he spoke, Naruto grabbed the iron wire with both hands and pulled it hard behind his back. Sasori's abdomen may have a coil of iron wire. Its length is astonishing. Even though Naruto's pulling speed was already fast, it only made Sasori's abdomen's rotating bearing make a rumbling sound, and there was no trace of it reaching the bottom. Is that so? Then I want to see how you can fool me. Sasori was careless, not too scared, just stomped on the rock under his feet, and instead let go and flew towards Naruto. Although he said that he left no trace on the surface, Sasori still felt a little upset inside. He had always had no intention of fighting close combat with Uzumaki Naruto. But now that the opponent had pulled his lifeline back, he could only charge forward and risk his life. Even in this form, Sasori still has a lot of confidence. His body is full of organs and hidden weapons. If he fights close up, he might even gain the upper hand. His giant foot rushed out at the same time. Sasori's back spread out two electric fan-like flying knife blades, spinning rapidly behind him, emitting a buzzing sound. This thing not only has fast movement speed, but also actually has flight ability. At this moment, Sasori charged straight towards him, completely in flight mode. At the same time, Sasori's pair of arms also began to change. The black tube in the center of his hand contracted and disappeared without a trace. The pair of arms emitted a creaking sound, and four long scimitar blades extended from each arm, stabbing straight towards Naruto's face. Each of the crescent-shaped sabers had a light purple liquid dripping down, leaving one without the slightest doubt that if the skin was rubbed by that thing even a little bit, one would immediately be poisoned and unable to move. Finally willing to fight me head-on. This is exactly what I want. Naruto laughed and threw the iron wire in his hand to the side. The iron wire made a rustling sound, and after wrapping around a large rock for a few times, it tied a knot. Immediately after, Naruto, not weak at all, turned towards Sasori and flew straight past. Running in the middle, Naruto's right hand slightly raised. The chakra air flow swirled around his palm. A rotating chakra light sphere instantly condensed out. As Naruto's sage technique chakra continuously converged towards his right palm, the volume of the chakra light sphere was still expanding violently. In a flash, the light ball transformed into a giant chakra ball, violently smashing towards Sasori's face like crazy. Senpo's super great gem Rasengan? Oh no! Is this thing really still in the category of ninjutsu? Sasori's puppet face was filled with shock when he saw the size of the super great jade Rasengan. He already lost the intention to fight. The facts prove that his initial battle plan was completely correct. When fighting with this one called Uzumaki Naruto, nine-tailed Jinchuriki, you cannot casually engage in close combat. Especially this kind of weak-body puppet master, he is in an absolute disadvantage. Perhaps Sasori could think of this in his heart, rushing forward to the point where he could no longer stop. Furthermore, Uzumaki Naruto's speed was extremely fast, and he was already so fast that as after images appeared, there was basically no time for him to escape. Boom boom tilde tilde tilde. Sasori's poisonous blade collided with the super great Jade Rasengan. Just a moment of contact already revealed the difference between high and low. Sasori's blade, although each handle was unusually sharp, flashed with a cold light. But in less than 2 seconds of collision with the super great Jade Rasengan, it shattered into cracks. Immediately after, with a few cracking sounds, the scimitar in Sasori's hand completely shattered, and that huge Rasengan also forcefully hit Sasori's face. Crack crack. The great loudspeaker's attack power remained unchanged, smashing Sasori's puppet body into 5 pieces, its parts scattered everywhere. The component heads were instantly crushed and could not be reassembled into a whole. This guy, what level of strength has he reached? On one side, Chiyo, who had just detoured, rushed over, preparing to cooperate with Naruto to fight, just in time to see Naruto using the super great Jade Rasengan to smash Sasori's body. She immediately stood there dumbfounded, not knowing how to describe her feelings at this moment. The technique Naruto just used completely surpassed the category of ninjutsu. Ninjutsu is not capable of having this kind of gigantic size. The total amount of chakra in a person's body cannot reach the level of releasing that technique, making the super great Jade Rasengan disappear in a flash. Naruto's first reaction was to rush forward and find the round heart tube on Sasori's chest. Looking at the original Naruto, it can be very clear that Sasori is leaning on the chest of a round tube, carrying the Sasori character, controlling the puppet body. If the heart tube was not destroyed or captured, then Sasori would still have a chance to come back. In order to avoid too many pointless battles, Naruto must quickly find that round heart tube. Whether it's destroying it or killing it, or capturing it, it's all fine. With a glance, Naruto saw a rock behind him. The rock seemed to have its own force and jumped down towards the third Kazekage puppet that had fallen to the ground. If he guessed correctly, Sasori should want to use the third Kazekage puppet to regroup and use his heart to exploit that puppet. However, his current body was destroyed. There was no way to recombine and use it again. I won't give you such a chance. Naruto laughed evilly, raised his hand, and made a void move. A kunai appeared in his hand. As Naruto waved his hand in the middle, the kunai directly shot towards the other side of the heart tube. Collection. The kunai also couldn't hit the heart of the cylindrical tube. That thing was completely under Sasori's control, like a soul holding its own consciousness. It would still shrink back. Naruto also took advantage of the moment when it stopped. His body turned into an afterimage, and in a blink of an eye, he rushed forward, took off his orange jacket, and forcefully grabbed forward. That tube heart doesn't really grow eyes. It just relies on danger awareness and sensing to make responses. This time it finally couldn't dodge in time, and was caught by the orange jacket's net. Naruto did not hesitate at all. He wrapped his coat into a ball, then carefully wrapped the 2 sleeves around the knots. Immediately, the first puppet master, Sasori, was successfully captured by Naruto. Disgusting. Uzumaki Naruto. You damn bastard. Let me out. Sasori roared in anger, echoing from within his orange jacket. Naruto chuckled and then laughed again. You're not talking nonsense. How could I let you go? You're such a dangerous person. Naruto can now rest assured that he has a solid support. Although Sasori is good at manipulating puppets, his heart can freely enter a person's body and invade another person's body. But being imprisoned inside the robe, he had no way to complete these things. No matter how powerful it is just a toothless tiger and cannot pose any threat to Naruto. You bastard. How do you know my body's secret? Sasori's voice was filled with anger and unwillingness. If it was an ordinary person fighting him, the moment that puppet body just exploded, the opponent would definitely think that Sasori was dead. Maybe Naruto didn't follow the usual rules at all. Not only did he blow up the puppet body, but he also immediately went to find his heart cylinder? What the hell is this? This is like a clairvoyance hack. It's really disgusting. Grandma Chiyo shook herself and jumped forward, her eyes filled with doubt as she looked at Naruto and asked, Naruto, what's going on? Didn't Sasori's puppet body just explode? Why is his voice coming from inside his clothes? Even the long-time, prestigious puppet Master Chiyo's mind was a bit short-circuited at the moment, not understanding the current situation. Naruto lifted the orange cloak in his hand. You have to ask him about this. I just discovered that the round tube carrying Sasori's character is a bit unusual. So I came up here to capture this thing. Grandma Chiyo was a little stunned, but as a reputable and long-time puppet master, Her train of thought was only a momentarily short-circuited because she had just been shocked by Naruto's level of strength. Just thinking about it roughly, she already understood the principle behind it. Sasori, come and explain to this old woman. Since you have been captured, don't even think about having the chance to escape. The old lady Chiyo's face was full of wrinkles. She tried to force a smile and said lightly. Sasori was her nephew after all, although he had committed many crimes. He still remembered a trace of family affection and did not want to let his nephew just die here on the spot. If we can successfully capture Sasori, it might be the best outcome. Sasori kept trembling inside the orange cloak, and not long after, seeing that there was no way to escape, he finally gave up resisting. Old lady, as a puppet master, you should understand, right? Even if you can create a puppet with your own body, controlling it still requires a part of the flesh and soul. Otherwise, there is no way to manipulate the puppet. Chiyo nodded slightly. That's indeed how it is. Saying that, she turned her gaze towards Naruto, her eyes carrying a hint of pleading. Naruto, can you hand Sasori over to me? I will bring him back to the Sand Village to be tried and convicted. The third Kazekage of the Sand Village died by his hands, and now he has captured my one-tailed Jinchuriki. I need to carefully bring him back to raise suspicions. Naruto did not immediately agree, but refused. I can't make a decision so easily. I'll have to wait until I ask the Konoha shinobi to make a decision. After all, they all come from this Akatsuki organization. Their background is not simple. Sasori can hide the secret Akatsuki organization on his body. If we can find out enough information from him, it will be a great event for the entire ninja world. Such a great achievement. How can you Sand Village take it all by yourself? Even if Sasori was a traitor from the Sand Ninja Village, he couldn't just be taken away. Naruto pushed the matter onto Kakashi and Might Guy 2's bodies. As for whether or not to hand Sasori over to Grandma Chiyo, that would depend on their own plans. On the contrary, Naruto has no interest in Sasori. This kind of crazy guy, keeping him around is like a time bomb. Don't say you can use magic to subdue him. Maybe at any time he will poison you, kill you. Grandma Chiyo's eyes showed a hint of displeasure, but she didn't show it immediately. Naruto also did not pay much attention to Chiyo's emotions, calmly said, Grandma, then let's go. Yes, I'll trouble you. Grandma Chiyo also knew that Naruto could use her ration to take her away, so she obediently extended her arm. Naruto caught Chiyo in one shot and immediately activated the Flying Thunder God technique. Wow! The two people's bodies flashed and disappeared from the cave. Next, in the blink of an eye, the two appeared in a dense forest. Under the shade of a large tree, Gaara and Kakashi Hatake lay side by side. These two just died of a coma. Gaara was completely numb because his tailed beast chakra was drained. But Kakashi was only in a coma because of overusing his dojutsu. His chakra was consumed too much, and his body was overloaded. Sasuke and Sai were standing quietly beside the big tree, waiting for their teammates to arrive. Seeing Naruto appear, Sasuke hurriedly walked forward and asked, Naruto, how is it? Did nothing happen over there? Did they capture the Akatsuki people? Just when he brought Gaara back here, Naruto told Sasuke that he wanted to return to the cave to capture another Akatsuki member. Naruto lifted the sleeve of his coat and said, No, this is not it. Sasuke immediately became confused and asked doubtfully, In here? Naruto nodded slightly. That's right. The details. Wait a moment until Guy and his people return. I will explain in detail. Currently explaining to Sasuke, waiting for Might Guy and the others to return, and having to explain again. It's really a bit troublesome. Anyway, Kakashi is now in a coma, whether or not to bring Sasori back to Konoha to investigate and raise suspicions. We still have to wait for Might Guy to make this decision. Naruto is not a Konoha person now, and does not want to fight over this muddy water. Can see on Tsunade's face. Coming to help carry out this mission is already very considerate. Gaara is now dead. Naruto turned his head to look at Chiyo beside him. She only occasionally glanced at the clothes in Naruto's hands, and didn't have any intention of going to rescue Gaara. Yeah, it looks like Gaara really wants to hang himself here at such a young age. Naruto sighed in his heart. Currently, Gaara has not yet become Kazekage, so naturally he has not received the respect of the Sand Village's higher-ups. Although Grandma Chiyo looks gentle on the outside, she is actually a selfish person behind her back. In the original work, if she hadn't been influenced by Naruto's technique, how could Grandma Chiyo have sacrificed her remaining life and used that forbidden technique to exchange for Gaara's life? Right now, Naruto is not going to use magic on Grandma Chio. If she could really think of the future of Sand Village, she would naturally go save them. There is no way to save Naruto. Naruto-kun. Don't we need to go give Guy-senpai and the others support? Sai slowly walked forward and asked Naruto. Naruto gently shook his head. No need if you are worried. You can go over and see if they need help. My Guy and the others, 10 of them, were currently fighting against their own clones. If you could defeat the clone, your strength will immediately increase by a step. Naruto himself felt it was unnecessary to ruin other people's chances. If Sai wants to go help, there's actually nothing wrong with that. After all, it's not early now. Being able to handle this matter sooner is actually very good. Naruto and Sasuke, both of them, really from early morning immediately rode the giant eagle to go on the road, searching for Orochimaru's lair, trying to keep up with the non-stop fighting. Until now, it's already afternoon, quickly passed, and everyone is hungry. Is that so? Then Kakashi-senpai, I beg you. Sai-chin had to agree, so he didn't say anything more. Took out a painting and a pen, drew a big ink bird, rode on the bird's back, and flew towards the nearest teammate. Naruto called Sasuke. At Kakashi beside him under the big tree sat down. About 10 minutes passed, and finally a few ninjas came rushing over from afar. There were 3 people in total, but they weren't the Leaf Village ninjas that Sai saved, but 3 Sand Village ninjas, leading a person carrying a large fan on his back wearing a fishing net outfit and Temari's skirt. Behind the 2 people, one is Temari's younger brother Kankuro. The other is their master Baki. Gaara. Temari immediately discovered a few subordinates resting here, and galloped forward. She squatted down and grabbed Gaara's arm, only to find that Gaara was cold all over. Her face immediately turned ashen, tears streaming down her face. Gaara, why is this happening? Still a step too late. Kankuro stood to the side, his knees weak, and he collapsed to the ground. These 2 siblings have very complicated feelings for Gaara. Gaara has always only loved himself, and has never considered Temari and Kankuro, these 2 relatives, as important. If it were someone else, they would have abandoned Gaara long ago. But the 2 brothers watched Gaara grow up since he was little, and knew Gaara was suffering inside. Although they were often yelled at by Gaara, they, like everyone else, had a certain fear of Gaara's suspicion. But ever since Gaara's experience fighting with Naruto in Konoha that time, for some unknown reason his personality suddenly changed greatly. After returning to Sand Village, Gaara tried to change his personality, trying to integrate into this big Sand Village family. First, Gaara was taken in by Temari and Kankuro. This was already Gaara's first step. But who could have thought that before Gaara could fulfill his dream and gain everyone's recognition, he would die here like this? The 2 brothers hugged Gaara's body, sobbing unceasingly. Their mouths vaguely sang some sad words. Naruto saw this scene and was also a bit infected. A look of pain appeared in his heart. But Naruto had no way, without that part of his ability, to save Gaara's life. Before long, my guy took the lead in chasing. Immediately after that, the 3 giant squids returned to their flying vehicles, carrying several people on their backs, all of whom were Konoha's teammates who had come this time. Naruto, what's going on, Kakashi? My guy just sat down on the ground, his mouth wide open, panting nonstop, sweat pouring from his forehead. Looking at dealing with his own clone, it was also a difficult matter. He ran to the position just opposite to Sai and the others. It seemed that my guy relied on his own strength to defeat his own clone. Naruto gently shook his head. He's fine. He just wants to go back to the hospital for a few months. What? My guy was immediately stunned. After several months in the hospital, he was still called fine? What kind of thing do you mean by something happened? Hey, Kakashi, wake up quickly. What's wrong? Wake up quickly. Youth is all about sweating. How can you be waiting around here like this? My guy squatted down, grabbed Kakashi's face with both hands, and pulled hard and hard, leaving the people around speechless. Guy teacher, what the hell are you doing? Anyone with a clear head can tell at a glance that Kakashi-sensei is injured. You're still doing this to him? Little Sakura immediately went crazy, rushed forward and pushed my guy away with one hand, squatted down to examine Kakashi's injuries. She is also a medical ninja now, so she can handle simple medical problems. Little Sakura, don't look, he's fine. He just overused his power. Naruto held little Sakura's arm tightly, blocking her hand movements. Is that so? I understand. Little Sakura nodded. Regarding Naruto's medical ninjutsu, she was still very clear. Anyway, Naruto became Tsunade's disciple, so he can compare to her early. Although Naruto did not practice with Tsunade, she had heard Tsunade mention that Naruto was exceptionally talented in medical ninjutsu, and was the #1 person Tsunade had ever seen. Good. Everyone is tired. Sit down and rest first. I will tell you roughly what happened here. Naruto waved his hand, signaling the more than 10 people here to sit down first and then speak. These people either just fought to the death with their own clone and were already exhausted, or just keep on traveling several days without rest, body is tired and can't stand it. After hearing Naruto's suggestion, no one objected and sat down on the spot. Only Grandma Chiyo, that pair of cloudy old eyes, stared at Naruto in his hand with the clothes on, unable to leave. Obviously, Grandma Chiyo still has a great obsession with Sasori. But in her heart, she was also very clear there were many ninjas in this hidden leaf village. Moreover, Naruto's strength is far superior to theirs, so forcibly taking action to rob is something that absolutely cannot be done. At the end of her rope, Grandma Chiyo could only be patient and began to listen to Naruto's story of what had just happened. About 10 minutes later, Naruto had already explained Sasori's general situation to everyone present. Sasori carried important intelligence on him, which was related to the secret Akatsuki organization. Everyone here followed Naruto's words and knew the importance of the matter. Although Naruto never said anything about doing so directly, he wanted to bring Sasori back to Konoha to raise suspicion. But everyone understood the meaning of Naruto's words very clearly. Little Sakura muttered to herself, Naruto clearly wants to bring Sasori back to Konoha. But because Sasori comes from Sand Village, it's not convenient to say it directly. Hyuga silently nodded. Naruto Kid's way of doing things is correct, no matter how you say it. Such important intelligence should be collected from our Leaf Village. Yamanaka Mingfu also looked towards Might Guy, secretly saying in his heart, Guy teacher, quickly make it clear to the Sand Village people, Sasori must be brought back to Konoha from us. This matter can only be opened by you. Grandma Chiyo naturally also heard the meaning in Naruto's words. Her face became even more gloomy, as if there was a sign that she was about to get angry. No one spoke. Grandma Chiyo stepped forward and said to Might Guy, Agai-san, no matter what, Sasori is still my grandson, and he is from the Sand Village. I still hope that you can hand Sasori over to me and bring him back to the Sand Village. When the time comes, we from the Sand Village will naturally share important information with the Leaf Village. Might Guy raised his hand towards Grandma Chiyo and gave her a thumbs up, his pearly white teeth flashing with a golden light. Of course, Grandma Chiyo. Sand Village and Konoha are truly friendly allies. There is nothing wrong with you bringing this Sasori back to Sand Village. What? The Konoha ninjas looked at Might Guy with dumbfounded expressions, filled with disbelief. Naruto just hinted at your feelings for half a day, but you still didn't understand what Naruto meant by those words? Even though Sand Village and Konoha Village are allied nations, such important intelligence, as long as it is leaked out from Sasori's mouth and shared with other major nations, is equivalent to selling an important person to other major nations. Such important intelligence. Just let you this young man bring it out. The reaction of the people from Konoha was different. The people from Sand Village were a bit confused at first, but immediately showed joy on their faces. Not too happy were only Chiyo and Koma. Temari and Kankuro were still immersed in the pain of their brother's death. What? Why are you guys reacting so strongly? Might Guy saw his teammates looking at him with murderous eyes and was a bit at a loss. The more than 10 ninjas on this side of Konoha immediately fell silent. Going around in circles with this Might Guy was tantamount to courting death. Naruto was also very upset. He should have told him earlier. If that's the case, then thank you all from Konoha. Thank you, Mr. Guy. Grandma Chiyo quickly sighed and said thank you, as if afraid that the people of Konoha would change their minds. She turned her gaze back to the bag in Naruto's hand. Naruto also did not hesitate much, since Might Guy had already agreed to this matter. Naturally, he did not like to change his mind. Give it. He lifted the bag in his hand and threw it back into Chiyo's hand. Chiyo cautiously concluded. The gloomy expression on her face softened a lot. Thank you. Chiyo said a word of thanks. Seal, art binds the seal. Immediately, she put the bag on the ground, took out a scroll, and with both hands formed a strange seal. From the scroll, streaks of runes rose up, wrapping the bag that bound Sasori, completely sealing it. After finishing these things, Chiyo and Koma glanced at each other, both seeing from each other's eyes that they had no intention of leaving. Baki quickly understood, stood up and clasped his hands towards the Konoha people. Everyone from Konoha, thank you for your full support this time. Later, as a reward, we will certainly pay enough. Right now, there are still many important matters that need to be handled inside the Sand Village. So let's first return to the Sand Village. Kankuro lay on the spot quietly carrying Gaara on his back, stood up with Temari, and with a sad expression said thanks to the Konoha people one by one, then stood behind Baki. Before leaving, Grandma Chio looked towards Naruto, her old face filled with an appreciative smile, and said calmly, Konoha ninjas are indeed full of talented people. The strength that this Naruto brat has shown really makes me sigh. Naruto, I know that being able to subdue Sasori is all thanks to you. Without you, Grandma might have experienced a bitter battle in the cave and ended up dying on the spot. Grandma Chio said indifferently, her voice filled with affirmation of Naruto's strength. But the tone of voice sounded a bit exaggerated. Naruto knew this was Chio's fear because of the matter of stealing Sasori, which made Naruto hold a grudge against her in his heart. Being hated by an exceptionally powerful person, and moreover by a youth with unlimited potential, would be an extremely terrifying thing. Naruto naturally quickly understood Grandma Chio's worries, and waved his sleeves indifferently. Grandma, don't worry. Since Senior Guy agreed to bring Sasori back to you, we naturally won't do anything later. Hearing that, Chio's worries finally subsided. However, Naruto wanted to say something but stopped, as if he had something else to say. Chio immediately became upset. Really, this kid still has the intention of taking revenge later? Never mind, Grandma. As far as I know, you seem to know a special forbidden technique called reincarnation. You should be able to save Gaara's life. Grandma, young people are the hope of the village's future. If you can really save people, I think you should still take action. Naruto said indifferently in just a few sentences. He had already brought out all of Chio's grandmother's inner feelings. Reincarnated is indeed Chio's grandmother, who has a special forbidden technique in her hands. This technique can use the entire chakra itself as a medium, giving life from beginning to end, and can also let the puppet gain life. At first, this technique was prepared by Chio's grandmother for her grandson Sasori. Currently, the only person in the world who knows about this is her younger brother Ebizo. She turned her head and looked at Naruto with an expression of disbelief, wanting to see some trick from Naruto's face, wanting to know how Naruto knew these secrets. But Naruto only maintained a calm expression, which made Grandma Chio feel a little disappointed. How the hell did this brat know? The most important thing right now is to bring Sasori back to Sand Village first. Thinking like that, Grandma Chio's face still had a faint smile. I know, Naruto. Thank you for reminding me. The matter of Grandma Chio having a forbidden technique that could save Gaara's life, as soon as Naruto said it, made Kankuro and Temari's footsteps suddenly stiffen. The two of them stiffly tilted their heads back, their eyes filled with fear as they looked at Grandma Chio. Grandma, is this true? Can you really save Gaara? Kankuro had a look of disbelief on his face. Temari had the same pleading expression, quickly rushed forward and grabbed Chio's grandmother's arm. Grandma, if you can really save Gaara, please do your part. Although Gaara has always been unwelcome in the village and has done many wrong things in the past, he has really changed a lot recently. Please. Before he finished speaking, Grandma Chio lifted Tucci up. I understand, Kankuro, Temari. Give me some time. I need to recover a certain amount of chakra. Let's talk about this on the way back. This reincarnation technique, once used, will transfer one's life force to the opponent who has received a ninjutsu. Right now, Gaara had just died not long ago. Wanting to apply rescue to him was completely in time. But Grandma Chio was very clear in her heart that just now in the fight with Sasori, she had used up quite a bit of chakra. If she couldn't restore her chakra to its peak state, and with this body directly telling Gaara that she was a fake reincarnated, Chio herself would immediately lose her life. She still didn't want to just die like this. There were still many things she wanted to personally confirm with her nephew Sasori. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Hearing that they could save Gaara, Temari and Kankuro's faces immediately filled with joy, continuously sending their thanks to Grandma Chio. As they spoke, the Sand Village people also continuously dodged and jumped, leaving this piece of forest. Only after watching those people go far away did the Konoha people turn their heads to look at Naruto with expressions of disbelief. Little Sakura hurriedly asked, Naruto, did you see that just now when Grandma Chio looked at you, she almost ate you alive? Hyuga also had the same doubt in his eyes. That's right then again. How did Naruto know about Grandma Chiyo's ninjutsu secrets? Looking at Grandma Chiyo's eyes just now, she also had a surprised look on her face. Naruto was momentarily speechless, not knowing how to respond. I can't tell you directly, but I've read the original work and have some understanding of everyone's skills. Don't force Naruto to ask. He has many secrets hidden on him. It's not convenient for me to explain too much to you. Just when Naruto didn't know how to respond, Sasuke stood up and helped Naruto out. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Gratefully looked at Sasuke and thought to himself, you are still a trustworthy kid. So it's like this, you two are indeed Tenten together. Sasuke-kun, has life been going well in the land of waves lately? Little Sakura immediately seized the opportunity, smiling as she approached, preparing to exchange some feelings with Sasuke. Very good. But Sasuke was not very grateful. His face coldly returned to 3 words. This made little Sakura feel a little upset. However, she had suffered enough blows in Sasuke's place that she had long since gotten used to it. As long as she could still see Sasuke, for little Sakura, it was the happiest thing. Sasuke also seemed to not want to stay here with so many people from Konoha and suggested to Naruto, Naruto, our mission in the land of the dead is not yet complete. Should we run back? So urgent. Naruto was stunned, but seeing Sasuke's not-so-good expression, he could only nod and agree. All right then, let's get ready and set off to return to Dainchi country. Might Guy also quickly stood up from the ground, walked to Kakashi, and carried Kakashi on his back. He turned his head and raised his thumb to Naruto, his white teeth flashing a golden light. Naruto, it's almost time for us to return to Konoha to report for duty. This time, helping Sand Village with a mission. Luckily we have your help. It's nothing, no need to be so polite. Naruto touched the back of his head and smiled. Might Guy waved his hand, enthusiastically shouting towards the remaining 10 ninjas of the Konoha squad. Hey, you little brats. Youth is all about sweating it out, so we can return to Konoha within a day. Rock Lee just heard the word youth. His eyes immediately lit up with fire. As expected of Teacher Guy, he never forgets to cultivate. A day is too long. It will take us half a day to reach Konoha. Might Guy looked at Rock Lee, satisfied and nodded. Nah, as expected of my favorite student. Now everyone is leaving. Let's compete to see who can be the first to enter the main gate of Konoha. Raising his hand, he roared with great enthusiasm. Might Guy carried Kakashi and charged straight into the forest, disappearing like a puff of smoke. As expected of Teacher Guy, I absolutely cannot fall behind, teacher. As soon as he finished speaking, Rock Lee let out a hiss and rushed out, following Might Guy closely behind. Only 3 people from Class 7, 3 people from Class 8, and 2 people from Class 3 remained at the scene, all of them with silent expressions. Tenten wiped the cold sweat from her head. From here back to Konoha, it will take at least 3 days or more. Those 2 guys really don't know what to think. Hyuga helplessly shook his head. It's really too embarrassing if possible. I just don't want to admit that I'm in the same class as those 2 guys. After saying that, the 2 of them also started walking, chasing after Might Guy and the others. Well then, goodbye. Naruto, Sasuke, I'll have a chance to come back. Kiba Inuzuka waved his hand to Naruto and Sasuke in farewell. Little Sakura reluctantly looked at Sasuke. After not getting any response from the other party, little Sakura could only smile awkwardly, wave her hand to say goodbye. Goodbye, Naruto, Sasuke-kun. Seeing that the people of Konoha had already gone far away, Naruto turned his head to look at Sasuke and asked, How is it? Sasuke, I feel like something is wrong with you. Sasuke gently shook his head. Nothing. It's just that I feel that in the future, I might still be able to oppose Konoha. If I get too close to these people now, it will always cause some trouble in the future. Like this. Naruto nodded. So Sasuke was worried about this. He wanted to avenge the Uchiha clan with all his heart. Koharu Udatane and Hamura Mido Kato, 2 people who participated in the extermination of the clan. Sasuke must take revenge. Sasuke's fear was that he was too familiar with the people of Konoha, and from then on he had to do the opposite and not get involved. For this, Naruto also did not go to advise. Also cannot advise Sasuke. Let go of the hatred in his heart. The greatest wish in his heart for the past 10 years, but is to avenge the Uchiha clan. Letting Sasuke give up on revenge is equivalent to taking his life. Let's go. Sasuke, let's go to Giran over there. Naruto said nothing more, grabbed Sasuke's arm, and immediately activated the Flying Thunder God technique. Wow! The two people's bodies flashed and disappeared from sight. Next, in the blink of an eye, the two people very conveniently transferred to Dainshi Quack. Hiraishin is used for traveling. It is really too convenient. No wonder Minato is known as the fastest man in the ninja world. Just by thinking about it, one can move the body to where the Hiraishin mark is. Although it is said that the farther the distance of the teleportation, the greater the chakra consumption. But for Naruto, this type of infinite chakra, many people consuming this amount of chakra almost cannot be counted. At most, it is also just an A-level ninjutsu amount of chakra. As Sasuke and Naruto just left, not far away under a large tree, the muddy ground suddenly began to rise and fall. An aloe-like plant slowly crawled out from underground, along with the two halves of aloe leaves spreading to the side, revealing a half-black, half-white Haku figure. Sasori was captured by the Sand Village people. This matter must of course be reported to Yahiko immediately. The Black Zetsu's low, hoarse voice rang out. White Zetsu nodded and said, "You heard it just now, right? We also gathered another piece of intelligence. The nine-tailed Jinchuriki seems to have brought Uchiha Sasuke to the land of rice. We don't know what their ultimate purpose is." Dainshi Quack. In the jungle, a dilapidated room in a small wooden house. In the room, a central fire was lit, making a popping sound. A few ashes flew towards the roof, filling the room with a smoky, burning smell. The fire was centered on a wood-burning stove on a shelf, wearing a small-sized wild boar head. Wu-Tu and Girin were both sitting by the fire. The firelight highlighted the two people's faces, sometimes bright, sometimes dark, but neither of them said anything. "Sister Girin, dinner's almost good, have some." The 5 dishes continuously moved the grilled pork on the wooden rack, so that the fire burns on the pork more evenly. This wild boar exuded a fragrant aroma. The entire pig's body was roasted and filled with golden oil, continuously dripping down, falling into the fire, making a hissing sound. "You eat first. I'm not hungry." Girin's face was not very pretty either. She hugged her knees with both hands and buried her head in thought. Ever since he learned about Yukimura's background and that part of his dusty memories was awakened, Girin's entire person had undergone huge changes. She used to be able to kill people without blinking an eye just to carry out Orochimaru's orders. Now, he completely forgot about Orochimaru and only wanted to save Yukimaru from the camp. Wow! 1 orange and 1 light blue. 2 figures appeared and landed beside Girin, startling both people in the room. "Girin, so you still have to eat when you eat? It's not like you have the energy to save people." Naruto chuckled and then laughed again, looked at Girin, and slowly said, "You two are finally back." Seeing Naruto appear, Girin's face revealed joy. Right now, the only person who can save Yukimaru, and also be the key character Yukimaru can solve, is probably only Naruto. Naruto gently stroked his chin. "That's right. Those guys over there are quite difficult to deal with, so they came back a bit late, making you two wait for a long time. It would be great if you could come back. I thought that." Halfway through the sentence, Girin's face turned slightly red. In fact, she wanted to say something, but she thought that Naruto was deliberately teasing her. So she made up an excuse and ran away with Sasuke. After all, the previous time in the Land of Fire, when he was pacifying the town, Naruto originally had several chances to kill her. But he was stunned and let her run away. Adding to his worry about Yukimaru's safety, Girin was already a bit absent-minded, so it was inevitable that he would have such speculations. "Oh, it smells so good." "Sasuke, Girin-san, don't talk so much. Let's eat first." Naruto was not polite at all. Casually sat down beside Wu-Tu, smacked his lips towards the fatty pork on the grill, and said to Wu-Tu, "Big brother Wu-Tu, if you don't mind, let's have dinner together." Wu-Tu's forehead dropped a large drop of cold sweat. In his heart he said, "You all sit down. I can tell you to pay attention. Originally wanted to go to a 2-person world with my goddess Girin, have a pork dinner together, and show off my culinary skills. I really didn't think I would be mixed up like this by the 2 of you. What a bummer." But on the surface, the 5 disciples did not dare to be so reckless with Naruto. He could completely understand. Today, in broad daylight, Naruto fought 6 of them alone, and could still freely control his image. Although Naruto looks young, his strength is truly terrifying. Now that he can politely care about what it is doing and call it Big Brother Ngadu, he already feels very flattered. "Naruto-kun, No need to be so polite. If you're hungry, then eat your fill. The five elements are still the type of people who are clumsy with words and do not know how to flatter people. He used a small knife to cut a large piece of pork trotter meat, placed it on top of washed pine needles, and brought it to Naruto. Here, eat it. Wow, it smells so good. Thank you so much. Naruto smiled and nodded, taking the pine needles in his hands with both hands, impatiently biting down on a piece of steaming hot pig's trotter meat, and started chewing and swallowing with his big mouth. Sasuke on the side saw Naruto eating so fragrantly, couldn't help but his throat move, swallowing a mouthful of saliva. He also followed Naruto, running all day. Except for a late-night muffin in the morning, he didn't eat all day. The five disciples continued to work as the head chef, letting the people here cut pieces of meat and throw them. The whole meal came down. The four people in the room ate until they were full. At first, because of Yukimura's matter, he was worried about Girin, but after Naruto returned, his confidence increased a lot, and he ate a lot of pork. After the meal, Naruto wiped his mouth full of oil and looked at Wushu and asked, "Big brother Wushu, are you willing to follow Girin-sama and join our Wave Nation ninja camp?" Wu-Tu did not hesitate at all and nodded vigorously. Of course, wherever Girin-ja is, I will follow her. Otherwise, I do not have any relatives in this world. These words did not come as much of a surprise to Naruto and Sasuke in the room. Naruto knew that Girin seemed to have some kind of favor with the five elements, but he couldn't remember exactly what it was. As for Sasuke, he didn't care much about these trivial matters, and didn't have time to pay attention to the grudges between the five elements and Girin. But Girin is different. She can't remember the small favor she has given to the five things. This afternoon, Girin didn't take it to heart about the unusual emotions the five elements displayed. Now hearing that the five elements wanted to follow him so loyally, Girin couldn't help but feel extremely terrified. For what? Wu-Tu, why did you do that? Wu-Tu said truthfully, Sister Girin, you probably don't remember. When I was captured by Orochimaru and locked up in prison, I almost died of thirst. It was your great kindness that gave me a gourd of water to drink, which allowed me to save my life. Is that so? Like this. Girin then gently stroked his chin, not asking too many questions, continuing to lower his head to add more firewood to the fire. Naruto chuckled, and then laughed again, reaching out to pat Wu-Tu's shoulder. It's good that you're willing to follow Girin. She definitely wants to return to the land of waves with me, and at the same time, I also welcome your joining. Don't worry. Your life in the land of waves from now on will definitely be 100 times better than your time at Orochimaru base. Naruto was in a very good mood. He had already successfully fooled two people. Next, he just needed to successfully rescue Yukimura. Then the two people should be able to stubbornly follow him. Thank you. Thank you for taking me in. Wu-Tu honestly nodded, looking like he was being sold and still wanted to help make money. No, from now on everyone is in one big family, no need to be so polite. Naruto chuckled and then laughed again. Congratulations to the host for completing the first selection mission. Immediately head to Orochimaru's base and hideout. Find the experiment being held by Orochimaru and rescue it and make it submit to the host. Mission completed. Now you are giving the following reward. Kodo Amatsukami service period is reduced by 2.5 years. Reminder, Mangekyo Sharingan Dojutsu Kodo Amatsukami. Use of the age limit has been successfully reduced by 5 years. While talking, the system voice in Naruto's mind rang out, reminding that the mission was completed. Ah, system, this time the reward is so refreshing. Didn't you always like to pull up the mission and reissue the reward after completing it? Naruto arrogantly said something to the system in his heart, but in fact, he was venting his dissatisfaction towards the system. System notification. The five elements have been influenced by the host and are now loyal to the host, so the mission can be considered completed smoothly. The system's response this time was very serious and didn't make any weird jokes. But as soon as these words were said, Naruto felt extremely surprised. It turns out that Wu-Tu is really a fool. Just like that, he got acquainted with him and talked a few sentences, and he willingly submitted? This girl is really easy to fool. However, even if Kodo Amatsukami's 2.5-year reward was received, Naruto wouldn't return so easily. Hozuki, Sujetsu, Tenmin Jongta, Uzumaki Karen. These three people, right now, still have not smoothly submitted to Naruto's man. Come. How can it be so easy to return? Must definitely bring back all of Orochimaru's men. Naruto's new wave will not be considered a loss. After discussing with Gurren, the four of them finally decided to first spend the night in this dilapidated small wooden house to fix it up. According to what Gurren meant, this wooden house was only about 20 kilometers away from Orochimaru's base and lair. At night, Yakushi Kabuto would usually inject a type of medicine into Yukimaru to conduct research on Yukimaru's body. If we were to rush to Orochimaru's base and hide out tonight to save people, it would be hard to avoid scaring the hell out of people. After much consideration, everyone decided to wait until the next morning when the sky was just getting light. Then from Gurren and the five disciples, bring Naruto and Sasuke together to go to Orochimaru's base and lair to carry out the rescue plan against Yukimaru. Now is the time to start winter season. In a place like Dain-chi Quoc, the geographical location belongs to the north and is relatively close to Thai-chi Quoc, so the weather is also colder. This night, for people could not sleep well. Although it was said that they were taking turns keeping watch, someone added firewood to the fire inside to maintain the temperature in the room. But this old, dilapidated wooden house is not very sturdy. There are gaps in many places, and even a large piece of roof tile is missing. When Yi Feng was blowing loudly, in the middle of a deep sleep, one could still hear the howling wind, accompanied by a cold feeling that swept over the person, causing one to wake up from a dream. However, fortunately, all four people here are ninjas, so their physical qualities are much better than those of ordinary people, although the sleeping conditions were relatively harsh. But because of the fatigue from the continuous fighting during the day, everyone's sleep was considered quite good. Gurren-san, Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, wake up, it's morning. The second day, the sky was just beginning to lighten, and the last night watchman, the five men, woke up the people who were still sleeping soundly. Good morning. Naruto stretched his tired back, somewhat reluctantly crawling up from the pile of weeds. Gurren and Sasuke both opened their eyes wide, sat up and rubbed their sleepy eyes. It's morning already, so let's set off immediately, to avoid a long night of dreams. After a brief moment of daze, Gurren remembered his purpose of wanting to save Yukimaru, so he stood up and urged everyone. Very quickly, the fire in the room was extinguished. The four people washed their faces outside the room by the pool, then set off towards Orochimaru's base and ran quickly. 20 kilometers long route. For ninja foot strength basically does not take too long time. In less than half an hour, the four of them arrived at a misty mountain pass in the middle. No wonder Sasuke and I searched for a day before, but couldn't find Orochimaru's base. It turns out it's hidden in a place like this. Naruto looked around at the towering mountain peaks and couldn't help but let out a sigh. Sasuke nodded and said in a low voice, "The terrain of this place is a bit strange. There is such a thick fog in the middle of the canyon. It is indeed a suitable place for hiding. It is very difficult for people to discover it." Gurren, who was leading the way, suddenly turned his head and made a gesture to be quiet. "Shoo. Naruto, Sasuke, you two don't talk. We'll reach the Sound Village ahead, where there are quite a few of Orochimaru's former ninja subordinates stationed. There's no need to disturb them. We'll take a detour into the base." "Yes, good." Naruto and Sasuke glanced at each other, nodded slightly, and said nothing more. Although it can be said that the ninja of the Sound Village who followed Orochimaru also did many bad things. But the most important goal right now is not to punish these guys. In order to avoid stirring up trouble, rescuing Yukimaru is still the most urgent need. Gurren and the five disciples continued to lead the way in front. Following them, they kept moving forward in a curved manner under the foot of a mountain peak, successfully avoiding the underground guard post of the Sound Village base, and just arrived at a stone gate carved with dragons and phoenixes. As Gurren twisted a latch beside the stone door, the tightly closed stone door emitted a rumbling sound, and a person entered through the gap between the mountains on one side. "Let's go. Follow me." Gurren waved his hand and quickly charged into the dark passageway. Naruto, three people followed closely behind, started running down the hallway step by step. This corridor was originally pitch black and gloomy, but with each step on the ground, a loud noise was emitted, and the lamps on the wall seemed to have been touched by some kind of latch, automatically flickering and igniting. Logically speaking, this kind of lamp should not have this kind of sound control function, but it also has the sound control function performance, which gives people a very strange feeling, and they don't know what the principle is. Orochimaru is indeed a science fanatic. Even the lights in the base under the mountain are designed to be so impressive. On the way, We did not encounter any obstacles, and everything went very smoothly. Following Girin through many intersections, just when Naruto was feeling a bit dizzy, Girin finally stopped in front of a wooden door. Next, Girin's voice was slightly trembling, as if he was a little nervous. Safe. As she tightly grasped the wooden door, her hand twisted and gently pushed it open. The wooden door made a revolving sound, revealing the situation inside. The room inside is not much space, just 5 or 6 square meters. There was no furniture in the house. Only a wooden bed was placed in the middle of the room. On the single bed, Haku was quietly lying a little boy about 7 or 8 years old, probably about the same age as Inari. This boy had long gray hair, eyes closed lying on the bed. His face was pale. His lips were slightly purple, clearly a sign of deep poisoning. That's great. Yukimaru wasn't teleported by that Kabuto guy. Girin wiped a cold sweat from his forehead, thinking a bit fearfully and muttering a sentence. Immediately, she sat by the bed, gently shook Yukimaru's shoulder, and shouted, "Yukimaru, wake up. I'm coming to take you away from this place." "Girin-san, it hurts. I feel so uncomfortable." Yukimaru opened his eyes in a daze, his voice filled with weakness as he replied, then closed his eyes again, falling into a coma. "Yukimaru! Yukimaru! Disgusting. That bastard Kabuto injected you with that kind of poison." Girin shook Yukimaru's shoulder, trying to wake him up. Seeing Yukimaru's weak appearance, Girin gritted his teeth in hatred, his eyes filled with anger. "Sister Girin, let's take him away from here first, and then talk about it. Otherwise something will happen later." Naruto patted Girin's shoulder and spoke to advise him. Now, even if Yukimaru wakes up without that ability to help him detoxify, it's better to let him remain in a coma, which can reduce a bit of pain. "I know, Wu too." Girin nodded in agreement, immediately hugging Yukimaru and placing him on Wu 2's back. After last night, the 5 elements' heart and mind were completely clear, and Girin now had full confidence in the 5 elements. "Naruto-kun, we must immediately go find that bastard Kabuto, or he will suffer a life worse than death. I can't even bring myself to say this." Girin turned around and walked out the door, his face filled with rage, looking as if he wanted to chop Yakushi Kabuto into 1,000 pieces. "Yes, let's go too." Naruto nodded slightly and followed them out the door. This place turned 7 times and 8 times. Everywhere looks the same. If I remember the original script correctly, Hozuki Sujetsu should be imprisoned in this underground headquarters. To subdue Hozuki Sujetsu, we still need Girin's guidance, so let's deal with Girin first. Several people walked out of Yukimaru's room one by one, quickly walking into the next dim corridor. No one noticed that in a remote place inside Yukimaru's room, on the rafters, there was a small, long white snake, its tongue sticking out. After taking in everything that had happened in the room, the white little snake made a bang sound and opened a white mist, disappearing without a trace. In the pitch-black space, Yakushi Kabuto, who had closed his eyes and condensed his chakra, suddenly opened his eyes. The white little snake saw everything, and everything was transmitted into Yakushi Kabuto's mind, causing anger to appear on his originally calm face. "This bitch Girin, how treacherous. Rolling around with that Uzumaki Naruto brat? Still want to cling to death. What a pity. I'm afraid it will be a long time before you can get your wish." As he spoke, Yakushi Kabuto also struggled with his snake body, heading towards the darkness and depths. Orochimaru is dead. Yakushi Kabuto successfully inserted Orochimaru's gene, inheriting Orochimaru's will. He did not intend to wait any longer for this piece of base. On the contrary, all the experimental data were in his mind, which only had room to store them. Leaving this place before, he also had no intention of giving up that traitor Girin, and killing Lord Orochimaru Uzumaki Naruto was better. Collect. The white snake body twisted in the middle of the pitch-black passage. Its speed was abnormally fast. In less than a moment, Yakushi Kabuto arrived at a particularly large power switch-shaped chest-opening latch in front of him. The power switch was turned on one by one, and waves of buzzing alarms immediately rang out from the underground headquarters. Many of the cages used to detain mutants in the strongholds had their iron doors automatically open, revealing the ugly mutants inside, their faces filled with disbelief. "Appear. I finally appear. Ha ha ha. Kill. I want to kill everyone. Everyone wants to die." At that moment, the mutants who were able to escape from the cage were like wild beasts, roaring furiously. There were a few people who had just come out, and immediately wanted the others to launch a fierce attack. But the more people, all jostling each other towards the dark corridors, flying straight, as if wanting to quickly leave this place. This group of people, and the group of people Giran brought out earlier, their appearance was somewhat similar. Oxhead monster and crocodile monster types belonged to the most diverse types. They were all extremely emotionally unstable. Whenever they ran along the corridor and saw someone pass them, they would instantly launch a deadly attack with red eyes. The base was in complete chaos, with mutants swarming out everywhere, running around in the dark corridors at will. Boom, boom, tilde, tilde, tilde. As Naruto's squad of 4, along with Yukimaru, advanced deeper into the corridor, they suddenly felt a slight tremor coming from the corridor's walls, accompanied by the continuous noisy screaming and killing. This shockwave became more and more intense. Ha ha ha! Ha. Kill! Kill them all! Disgusting. You bastards. Giran took the lead and stopped, his expression solemn as he leaned forward to listen, and said in a low voice, "What exactly is going on? The base has never been so lively." The 3 people following behind Naruto also hurriedly stopped, their faces revealing a hint of surprise. Just as Giran said, as soon as the 4 people arrived, the entire underground headquarters became extremely quiet. This kind of crazy screaming sound has broken out of the normal human category. Before the group could think much, a huge figure 3 meters tall suddenly rushed out from a few dozen meters ahead of them. The body of that thing is human, but the limbs and skull look more like a rhinoceros. Every step he took would cause the ground to shake. It seemed that the commotion in the corridor was more than half due to his presence. Behind the rhinoceros man, there was also a group of strangely shaped humans. Or rather, they were all half-beasts, their eyes glowing red, and saliva continuously flowing down from their mouths. There were 2 people who wanted to follow the rhinoceros monster to the past, but they were both punched by the rhinoceros monster and fell into the sturdy fence of that corridor. The rock wall was thrown into 2 huge pits. Disgusting. It must have been that Kabuto guy. He already told us to return. Giran frowned, seeing these orcs appear at the same time. She had roughly guessed the situation. This underground base is inside. Just this kind of mutated half-beast probably has relations to suppress more than 1,000 people. They were all as strong as buffaloes, and their attacks were extremely cruel and sharp. Release all these guys from prison. I'm afraid Kabuto also intends to abandon this underground base. Kabuto took advantage of these orcs to create chaos, giving himself more time to escape, and also wanted to put Naruto and the other 4 in danger. Giran, where is Kabuto now? Naruto asked in a low voice. Giran shook his head. Kabuto is very careful. We just entered that room, which is Kabuto's room, but there's no one inside. He most likely discovered us entering long ago. Roar. At this time, the rhinoceros monster saw Naruto and a group of 4 people. He raised his head and let out a screech, moving with heavy steps, quickly charging towards the 4 people. Sasuke shook himself and jumped forward, looking agitated. In other words, Kabuto has taken advantage of the chaos to escape, and these monsters that should have been locked up in cages have been released, instead becoming obstacles for us to advance, right? And we should still think of a way to retreat first. These things are terrifying in number and are difficult to deal with, Giran said with a solemn expression. Even though her one hand was extremely sharp, she still did not have the confidence that she could survive this chaotic environment safely. Go to hell! The rhinoceros monster rushed to the vicinity, roaring in the middle. That tall body jumped up, swung out that buffalo hoof fist, and fiercely struck towards Giran's face. But although the rhinoceros monster looks extremely powerful, speed is its weakness. Before he jumped up and launched his attack, Naruto and the other 4 had already anticipated the danger and quickly dodged and retreated. A loud bang, loud bang. The powerful buffalo hoof punch slammed into the solid brick floor of the hallway. The tile floor appeared large area of cracks, rapidly spreading forward. As the entire corridor appeared a violent vibration, in the middle where Naruto and the other 4 were standing, a huge deep hole appeared. Also not sure if it's because of hearing the news about Itachi Uchiha, Sasuke's emotions are still not stable. He chased in front of everyone, the first to launch an attack. Sasuke formed several hand seals with both hands. His left hand tightly gripped his right wrist. A dazzling mass of lightning appeared in his right palm, emitting a crackling sound. Drink! Sasuke let out a low roar, jumped up, stomped on the wall of the corridor. His 2 feet gripped the wall and forcibly rushed towards the rhinoceros monster. A dazzling electric arc on the wall of the corridor opened a deep ditch, and the rocks were smashed by the lightning, continuously falling down. Chidori! The dazzling electric arc fiercely swung towards the rhinoceros monster's face. The rhinoceros monster did not give in at all, seemingly not taking Sasuke, who was only a small figure, seriously. He straightened his back, once again swung his buffalo hoof right fist, and smashed towards Sasuke like crazy. Puffy! The buffalo claw fist and the lightning strike clashed for a moment, causing a brief pause. Immediately after, there was a very small cracking sound. The rhino's thick claws were pierced by the lightning on the spot. As the lightning pierced into the skin, Sasuke's slender hand penetrated the rhinoceros arm bone. Blood immediately scattered and fell on the spot. The rhinoceros let out a painful scream. Ah! Dumb brat! You must die today. The rhinoceros monster felt the pain in his right hand, raised his left hand, and punched Sasuke as he shouted loudly. The hand stirred up a hurricane, hitting Sasuke's face, leaving him unable to open his eyes. At this moment, Sasuke realized the danger and quickly tried to pull his arm back, but he found that his arm was clamped by the rhino's claws, making it impossible to pull it out easily. Oh no! Sasuke immediately broke out in cold sweat down his back, blaming himself for only wanting to vent his anger on this rhinoceros monster, putting on a show and getting a little carried away. If this fist were to be hit firmly, one would either die or have a layer of skin peeled off. Retired. Just as Sasuke closed his eyes and prepared to be hit, an orange figure suddenly appeared, and in the blink of an eye, arrived in front of the rhinoceros monster. Damn it! You stinking rhino! Naruto's voice rang out. Sasuke felt no pain coming from his body, and quickly opened his eyes, only to see Naruto swing his hand out and collide with the rhinoceros monster's enormous hand. Under the 2 fists of completely different sizes, Naruto's strength is even greater. No! It must be said that Naruto's strength is much stronger than true. Because everyone in the corridor could hear, the rhinoceros monster's arm emitted a series of bone-cracking sounds. The rhinoceros' front hoof broke off, and blood gushed out. Immediately after, the rhinoceros monster that occupied half of the 3-meter corridor's body, unexpectedly like a cannonball, flew backwards. After smashing down more than 10 mutant onlookers behind it, the rhinoceros monster's body finally stopped with difficulty. Monster! That blonde kid is a monster, rich guy. Run away! The corridor behind the corner was originally filled with large piles of mutants watching the show. After seeing Naruto's terrifying power erupt, he didn't dare to stay in place, turned around, and ran away like a puff of smoke towards another corridor. In their hearts, they wanted to see a good show, to see how Naruto and his group would be blown to pieces by the rhinoceros monster. What they absolutely did not expect was that Naruto's small body actually contained such terrifying power. If you don't run away now, when will you? With such a rhinoceros monster being beaten to pieces, whether or not it can keep its life is still hard to say. Oh, you useless rhinoceros, wake up. You're fucking squeezing me to death. Fuck, my ribs are torn by this damn bastard. It hurts so much. Under the rhinoceros monster, more than 10 of them were crushed into a pile of mutants, continuously emitting miserable screams. The person with the lowest level received the greatest pressure, and his appearance was even more miserable. His originally thin, mutated lizard body was pressed down until it withered, and blood flowed everywhere. The rhinoceros monster also bared its teeth in pain, its left arm transmitting pain throughout its entire body. Although he really wanted to stand up right now and immediately turn around and run away, not wanting to face that pervert Naruto, but who would have thought that his body was too cumbersome? Falling over like that, it wasn't like he could just crawl up. Sasuke, how are you? Are you okay? Naruto did not chase after him, but instead looked towards Sasuke's injured arm. Sasuke shook his head slightly. It's nothing. I was just too careless and didn't avoid it. Naruto was a little stunned. Too careless to avoid? This line of dialogue sounds so familiar, as if a certain so-called national security person had mentioned it before. First, help you stop the bleeding. This thought suddenly flashed through his mind. Naruto immediately formed several healing ninjutsu hand seals, and gentle green chakra energy emerged between his palms. Mister, as Naruto's palms pressed against Sasuke's arm, Green chakra energy began to cover Sasuke's arm, urging the cells in his body to rapidly split, and the visible wound slowly closed. Guren and the 5 disciples now had their mouths wide open enough to swallow a chicken egg, looking at Naruto with disbelief. They knew Naruto's strength was strong, but they didn't think Naruto's strength would be so great. Guren and Naruto have also fought many times, but have never seen Naruto use this kind of strange power. So it's no wonder she would have such a surprised expression. Naruto, you, what a monster. Guren tried to suppress the fear in his heart, took a few steps forward, and looked at Naruto with some helplessness. Guren possesses a Kekii Genkai, a rare existence in the entire ninja world. This powerful Kekii Genkai made Guren extremely arrogant. In his eyes, other than Orochimaru, he didn't put anyone else in his eyes. Perhaps ever since he encountered Naruto, Guren's perception and the world he saw were being disrupted again and again. Over 10 years old, can skillfully control the 3 great sacred lands immortal arts. 8 Gates diving armor is extremely simple to use, now added with an extremely great body strength. This is really a person compared to another person that makes people angry to death. In the end, will they still let others live or not? Guren-san, Naruto-kun, what should we do with those guys? The 5 disciples carried Yukimura forward and asked the 2 people. Wu too is an honest and sincere guy, although he is equally terrified of Naruto's powerful strength. He only respects Naruto from the bottom of his heart. It's much deeper than that, and he doesn't show it on his face. While maintaining his healing posture, Naruto turned his head to look at Guren and asked, Sister Guren, you don't need to take these useless trash away. Guren nodded gently. These guys released, it is just a disaster. Can kill all of them. Guren was very clear in his heart that these mutants who were captured into Orochimaru's base before, perhaps many of them were good-hearted people. But after those drugs were injected into their bodies, and after their bodies combined with the wild beast genes, these people were completely different from before. Or to be more strict, these people cannot be considered human, because their temperaments are like wild animals. Any little thing that doesn't go their way will cause their temperament to change drastically, and they will get angry and kill their own kind at will. If so many mutants were to escape from the base, then the entire Tenji country's villagers would probably suffer great losses and harm. I know, Naruto-kun, Guren said. The 5 disciples nodded, took a few steps forward, and with a fierce and powerful expression, they swung their fists and attacked the rhinoceros monster and the others like crazy. His fist waved in the air, rapidly growing larger. A round of frantic pounding and pounding sounds rang out. The rhinoceros monster and the mutants under him were all successfully dealt with by the 5 elements. In less than a moment, the wound on Sasuke's hand was completely healed. A group of 4 people started to move forward along the corridor again. On the way, they encountered several waves of mutants, but were all easily dealt with by Naruto and the other 4. Guren brought a group of people at Yakushi Kabuto's usual waiting area, searched around several places, but did not find any clues. In a dead end, Guren could only give up, bowed his head and sighed. It seems that Kabuto has really escaped. Let's leave this place and deal with all these mutants on the way. Otherwise, they will endanger the villagers of Tenji country. Yes. Naruto nodded slightly and asked in a low voice. Guren, do you know this person Hozuki Suigetsu? Guren was a little stunned, looking at Naruto in confusion. I know. She was captured here by Orochimaru for more than a year, and has been imprisoned in a certain place in the laboratory. I have followed Orochimaru and met him many times. Guren told Hozuki Suigetsu's story in brief. Hozuki Suigetsu originally betrayed and escaped to Kirigakure a year ago. His only purpose was to find Zabuza, the 7 swordsmen of the mist, and challenge Zabuza to take away Zabuza's great sword and behead him. Unexpectedly, not long after leaving the water country, in the territory of the cross country, by chance, he bumped into the half-child Orochimaru at the corner. Orochimaru saw Hozuki Suigetsu's outstanding strength and innate talent, so he wanted to sell a copy of Tathagata Godpalm. No! Orochimaru immediately had feelings for Suigetsu, as if he wanted his hand to return to his own. Although Suigetsu's ability is not considered extremely abnormal, this water control ability is very outstanding, giving people a feeling of shining eyes. Suigetsu naturally tried to resist, but he was no match for Orochimaru. In the end, he was captured by Orochimaru and locked in a laboratory for more than a year. If Orochimaru hadn't been so focused on researching other Kekkei Jinkai abilities that he didn't have time to care about Suigetsu, he would have given Suigetsu's body to Xiao Tao for research. So this is it. Let's go. I can't wait to meet Hozuki Suigetsu. Naruto chuckled and then chuckled again, urging Giran to speed up his steps, heading towards the laboratory she mentioned. According to Naruto's own guess, Suigetsu and Orochimaru's relationship probably had some input and output with Giran. The reason why Suigetsu has not submitted to Orochimaru is mainly because Orochimaru has repeatedly found new Kekkei Jinkai children and has gradually forgotten Suigetsu's abilities. According to the original work, it's not that bad. Suigetsu is actually quite afraid of Orochimaru. Every time he sees Orochimaru, he's like a mouse seeing a cat. How could he not be willing to submit? Naruto and his group of 4 continued to move forward in the dark corridor, encountering mutants along the way and eliminating them all one by one. Perhaps because Naruto's 4 people killed people smoothly and without any regard for face, the news had already spread among the mutants. Not long after, as soon as a mutant saw Naruto and the other 4 appear, they were all scared and immediately ran away in confusion, not daring to have any direct contact. The laboratory is right ahead. Giran raised his hand and pointed to a heavy iron door in front of him and said. Naruto raised his eyes to examine the past over there and discovered that the structure there was indeed a bit different from other places. The entire wall is made of metal, and the heavy iron door has a circular twisted handle. Where the handle meets the door, there is a safe-like password. It seems that this laboratory should be considered an extremely important research site for Orochimaru. Giran walked forward, skillfully gripping that fist, continuously moving it several times. Over there, the final password lock made a click sound. The iron door was finally opened. Let's go in. Suigetsu is inside, Giran said, leading the way into the laboratory. Naruto followed closely behind. Just as he entered, he was shocked by the scene before his eyes. The laboratory was 10 meters in size, and inside, besides displaying a large number of electronic devices with flashing lights, there were also rows of large transparent glass bottles. Those bottles were filled with a light blue transparent liquid. Each bottle contained a naked human, with a tube inserted into its body, connected to the instrument above the tube. There are both men and women, but most of them are under the age of 20. The others were originally sleeping with their eyes closed. Perhaps hearing someone enter the lab, they all opened their eyes wide, continuously stroking the glass inside the jar, as if begging someone to let them out. These are all Orochimaru's experimental subjects. Naruto couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. This Orochimaru guy's thinking is really advanced. In this era where medical technology was not yet so advanced, Orochimaru actually researched these advanced things. This image looks like Resident Evil, a zombie virus research specialist protecting the company. Luckily, I didn't get charmed by Orochimaru. I'll go with Naruto. Sasuke's eyes were filled with shock. He was a little scared and silently muttered a sentence. Once in Konoha, where he died in the jungle, he was also branded with the cursed seal of heaven by Orochimaru, and also heard with his own ears that Orochimaru wanted him to become the next generation's vessel. Sasuke just thought about how he was almost contained in this kind of bottle, and couldn't help but shiver in his heart. These are all the experimental subjects that Orochimaru captured. Some are a bit like Suigetsu, locked up for a long time and exiled to the cold palace. Some of them have been experimented on many times. Giran smiled faintly, as if he had long since gotten used to this kind of thing. While talking, Giran brought Naruto and the others, running towards a dead glass bottle in front of them. Suigetsu, Naruto-kun wants to see you. Go out and talk to him. Giran looked at Hozuki Suigetsu and said indifferently. As for Hozuki Suigetsu's body that wasn't wearing any clothes, Giran acted as if he didn't see it, just conversing with a normal person. Hozuki Suigetsu seemed to have heard Giran's words clearly and glanced at the people behind her. Perhaps seeing Naruto and Sasuke were both little brats not much older than him. And the 5 figures had an honest appearance. A trace of disdain immediately appeared on his face. Naruto didn't say a word. He walked forward and swung his fist with a loud bang. The glass bottle shattered with a loud bang. The pale green liquid inside tilted and spilled out. Pause! Accompanied by a flash of afterimage, Suigetsu, who was not wearing any clothes inside the jar, suddenly stood between Naruto and Sasuke, his hand clenched in a Sharingan, reaching out to support Naruto and Sasuke's heads. As long as this move is completed, Suigetsu is confident that he can use Suidun, Sweet Poo, Water Release, Water Gun technique to instantly kill these two little devils with one blow. But right at the moment Suigetsu raised his hand, he suddenly felt dizzy, and then his throat was grabbed by someone. Immediately, Suigetsu's face was filled with shock, and his hands stopped moving in the middle. This guy, Zolfust. Suigetsu silently muttered in his heart. The hand that was holding his throat was Naruto's backhand probing over to his arm. Suigetsu never thought that under the situation where he used Mizu Shunjutsu at close range, his speed would actually be several times slower than the other party. What exactly is the background of this blonde-haired brat? Hozuki Suigetsu, right? If you don't want me to instantly crush your throat, you better tell us the truth. Naruto's mouth corners carried a hint of a calm smile, tilting his head to look at Suigetsu. Suigetsu was slightly stunned. He felt a very clear killing intent in Naruto's smile, causing him to feel a chill in his heart and tremble a little at the thought. Ha! I just wanted to joke with you guys a little. You guys are all Girin's friends. Of course you won't be shy with me. Suigetsu awkwardly laughed a few times, carefully raised his arm, and brought Naruto's hand that was holding his throat down. Girin on one side saw this scene, couldn't help but shake his head and reveal a helpless smile. She and Suigetsu had at most fought a few times, so they weren't very familiar with each other. This Suigetsu guy is completely dragging her along, looking for a way out for himself. We are here to find you to join our group. Of course we won't mind the friendly discussions between our comrades. Naruto turned around, smiling as he looked at Suigetsu, and said, no matter how you say it, Naruto's real purpose is to turn this guy, Suigetsu, into the land of waves. Establishing authority only requires moderation. Don't be too rude, otherwise it will be counterproductive. Join the gang? What are you talking about? Suigetsu asked, confused. Not waiting for Naruto to reply, Sasuke took the lead and spoke somewhat reluctantly. Hey, Naruto, you guys are not prepared to continue talking like this. As he spoke, Sasuke raised his finger and pointed at the little worm that was still wriggling below Suigetsu. That's right. Naruto had nothing more to say. Only then did he remember that Suigetsu still wasn't wearing any clothes. But then again, Suigetsu, this guy has a passion for showing off. His first reaction after getting out of that glass bottle was to find a piece of clothing to hide it. On the contrary, he wants to use Naruto and Sasuke to start the fight? Suigetsu looked indifferent again, deliberately waving the little worm a few times, saying, what does it matter? We people are all used to waiting inside the jar. Not wearing clothes also feels very normal. Saying that, Suigetsu looked at Girin with an evil smile and teased. However, how come every time Girin sees us these male bodies? It's like there was no reaction, no matter what she was a beautiful woman, he would have. A little shy. Girin disdained, cut a sound, face contemptuous said, just that inch of flesh below you. The hair is not even fully grown yet. What is there to be embarrassed about? Girin admitted that this was the truth. She had followed Orochimaru since she was little, so she had seen a lot of experiments on Suigetsu, a type of insect. Although she personally did not have much of a reaction, the rest of the people in the match, all were made very uncomfortable by Girin's words. Naruto helplessly sighed. He had long seen that Girin was that kind of casual female character. He really didn't think that her female character would reach this level. Cough, cough. What is that? Suigetsu, hurry up and put on your clothes, make the big. The monster was confused. Naruto raised his hand to void. A set of orange sportswear immediately came from the system. Space taken out appears in hand. Good. Thank you. Suigetsu nodded and thanked him, grabbing his clothes and acting like he didn't care about anyone. One side on. A trembling sound rang out, and in less than a moment, Suigetsu had finished handling it. You must be Naruto, right? Tell me, what exactly does joining the group mean? Suigetsu returned to the previous topic and asked Naruto. It's like this. Naruto told Suigetsu roughly about the situation he had previously introduced to Girin and the 5 disciples about the country of waves. Suigetsu, after hearing, very refreshingly nodded. No problem, on the contrary I already become a traitor ninja of the Mist Village. Want me to join the land of waves? Naturally not. Have an opinion, with the strength you just displayed, is worthy of my trust. Speaking up to here, Suigetsu paused for a moment. However, Naruto, I still need you to agree to a condition with me, before I am willing to accept your invitation. Conditions? What conditions? Naruto was a little surprised. This Suigetsu guy has no interest in money or women. What he wants the most is The object was Zabuza, holding a large decapitating sword in his hand. He also doesn't want Naruto to cut off his head with a big sword, right? This kind of thing is absolutely impossible. The great sword that beheads is truly Zabuza's treasure. Naruto is incapable of doing this kind of master. But Suigetsu's next words made Naruto breathe a sigh of relief. You don't need to be nervous. With such expression, my conditions are not difficult for you. Listening to the meaning in your words just now, Zabuza-senpai is also in the land of waves returning. Become your subordinate, right? Yes. Naruto nodded. Then it's easy. I just need to challenge Senior Zabuza once. If he loses, he will give it to me, and he must lend me his beheading sword for a few months to play with. But I'm afraid that Zabuza-senpai won't agree to such a request, so I want to give. You come out and help me say it. Speaking, Suigetsu's eyes flashed with a burning light. How is it? Naruto, isn't that request too much? Naruto was a little silent and glared at him. Doing this for half a day is not what you expected. Want to cut off head with big knife. Just consider it borrowed. Who knows if you can still use it, can hold the knife clumsily. Thief on the run. However, as long as Suigetsu doesn't have a chance to get Zabuza, then this condition is no different than not available. Zabuza's own strength is also not bad. Recently, he has been practicing the 8 gates release technique. Believe these past days. Zabuza 8 gates release will definitely have some results. With the current strength of the young Suigetsu, facing Zabuza, he definitely has nothing. When? So, Suigetsu mentioned this condition. Naruto is completely able to meet it. No problem, I can fulfill your request. Really? But that's really too good. I've been thinking of trying out the Great Saber Decapitation for a long time. As soon as the Great Saber Decapitation was mentioned, Suigetsu's eyes immediately lit up. Cut! It's like you can beat Zabuza like that, Sasuke immediately said. Suigetsu threw a basin of cold water. Sasuke was still relatively clear about Zabuza's level of strength. This Suigetsu looks formidable, but compared to Zabuza there is still quite a gap. Sasuke's straightforward words made the smile on Suigetsu's face stiffen, and he glared at Sasuke with a murderous expression. Hey, little brat, do you want to fight? Sasuke nodded lightly indifferently. It's possible. As long as you're not afraid of being defeated and losing face. What did you say? Suigetsu became even angrier, his eyes burning with raging anger. The other two have bright personalities. Suigetsu has a violent personality. Sasuke has a straightforward personality. Very have a word, not suitable, immediately have to hit the trend. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, Naruto quickly stopped in between the two of them, holding the other with one hand and saying, Good. Sasuke, Suigetsu, you two don't make a fuss. Do the main thing first. Seriously, if there is anything that bothers the other party, we can discuss it when we return to Songchi Quak. Humph! Sasuke and Suigetsu simultaneously let out a soft hum, each tilting their heads. Don't want to pay attention to the other side. Naruto helplessly sighed. It seemed that the grudge between these two people was settled. Fighting in the future was inevitable. Fighting is fine, as long as they don't do it for real. At first, the Wave Country Ninja was lacking, and it was not easy for Naruto to find a few people to return. Don't beat them to death or cripple them. Then consider it. While thinking, Girin suddenly asked, Naruto, what about the rest of these people? Naruto raised his head to look at Girin, knowing that she was just one of those things trapped inside the jar. Experiment. Let them all go. They must not have been injected with wild beast genes, right? Naruto asked. Gurenani? No. Most of them possess special ninjutsu abilities, or Kekkei Jinkai Ninja, belonging to the category of ordinary humans. That's good. Let them all go. Naruto was now reassured. Girin went to the experiment side on the electronic screen side, took down the bowl that was opened above. As the other row of vases were arranged, the electricity was cut off, and the green medicine enemy inside also went away. As soon as it was pulled out, the love potion made a creaking sound slowly. Spread out and release all the experimental objects inside. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Girin. Thank you all. These naked guys somersaulted out of those bottles, continuously nodding towards Girin and Naruto to send thanks at the same time. Their first reaction was also to use their hands to cover their sensitive parts. It seems that what Suigetsu said has some in and out. Even if these people are locked up in a jar for a long time, they will still have a lot of courage. Shy. Unlike this Suigetsu guy, Shameless likes to run around naked. Naruto, what should we do next? Is he returning to Konoha? Enkimari Heiau. All the processing completed, Girin once again stepped forward to participate, asked Naruto, and said. Although Girin tried to suppress her emotions, Naruto still saw the look in her eyes. Worry. That's because in her heart, she was worried about Yukimaru, afraid that something would happen to Yukimaru. Naruto shook his head slightly and advised, Girin, don't be too impatient. Yukimaru will temporarily. Time of nothing. Although I don't have the ability to cure Yukimaru, I have learned some medical knowledge and can see that the poison that Yukimaru has been poisoned with is a chronic poison. It will definitely take at least a month to take effect. I still need you to help me find 2 people. Only then can we bring those 2 people together smoothly. Take it away. I can return with peace of mind. Girin was a little surprised. She didn't think her emotions would be expressed so clearly. So obvious. Naruto casually let it be seen. After a brief hesitation, Girin nodded slightly and asked, Go ahead. If you want to find anyone else, I can take you there. I still need you to help me find Uzumaki Karen and Tenbin, those 2 I want to lead you back to the land of waves. Naruto said as if he was telling the truth. Uzumaki Karen and Tenbin respect me? Girin was a bit surprised, not thinking that Naruto can directly say the names of those 2 people. Those 2 people were both relatively important figures under Orochimaru, and at the same time had never appeared in the sight of others. How did Naruto know? What? Is there something awkward? Seeing Girin just looking at him without saying anything, Naruto hurriedly asked. Girin now realized his rudeness and quickly shook his head and said, No. It's just that although those 2 people are both in Dainchi country, they are in the same direction. Different, the distance is still a bit far. Next, Girin roughly told me the situation of Uzumaki Karen and Tenbin. Time. After Karen joined Orochimaru, she successfully received Orochimaru's favor and became the person in charge of guarding a stronghold in the southern part of the kingdom of Dain. Called a stronghold, it is actually a large base similar to a prison. In the base where the people were being held, they were all test subjects that Orochimaru found interesting. Test. The other's fate is considered tragic. Likely will survive. Obtain Orochimaru. Favored was transported to the underground lair headquarters for Orochimaru to conduct defense. Experimental use. There is also a possibility that he will be forgotten by Orochimaru and imprisoned in the southern headquarters for the rest of his life. As for Tenbin's importance to me, this person is even more important. Because I was born with the body of a celestial being, the place where I was imprisoned was also very secretive. Even Girin did not know where the detention base was located, only that it was in the north. One place. If that's the case, then let's go find Karen first. Naruto suggested. Just need to find Karen. With her mobile sensor, as long as the divine eye is turned on, then the fear of not being able to find my location? Yes, I will listen to you. Girin nodded slightly. A group of people just like that left Orochimaru's underground lair, heading towards Dainchi. The country headed south. Along the way, Naruto was curious about Suigetsu and couldn't help but ask. That's right, Suigetsu. Why are you so obsessed with that great sword that can be used to behead people? Even if you become a traitor to the Mist Ninja, you still want to go find Zabuza and challenge him to get the great sword to behead people. Suigetsu chuckled and said calmly, Naruto, you might not like what I say, but I still can't help but say it. You outsiders won't understand how much the 7 swordsmen of the Mist love those 7 ninja blades. Although I still can't become the next 7 swordsmen of the Mist, but I know that if I can grasp the great decapitation blade, my strength will increase countless times. Speaking of this, Suigetsu's face revealed a trace of pride. Don't look at my age, and you are not much different, but I was really in my youth, I was called Ghost. Reincarnation of a prodigy. Ah! Naruto was a little surprised for Suigetsu this nickname. It really was also. Not quite understand. It's true, I also come from the land of water. Before I was captured and thrown into Orochimaru's base, I also heard about Suigetsu. On the way, he did not talk to the 5 people. Suddenly, he spoke in a low voice. Mouth said, Tuichiquak has always been a special country. Not long after the 4th Mizukage succeeded to the throne, he immediately implemented a policy of seclusion, without any exchanges with other countries. Therefore, the incident of the water country was considered a rare event, and the ninja of other countries rarely knew about it. Naruto was also immediately interested. I really didn't expect that even you, 5th brother Wu-Tu, are also from the water country. What exactly is going on, brother Wu-Tu? Please tell us in detail. Yes, good. Wu-Tu nodded, telling him everything he knew. The Land of Water, before the fifth Mizukage May Terumi succeeded it, had always practiced very cruel policies. During the graduation exam period, he cut off the limbs and skulls of all the children of his age, and finally fought his way through blood, successfully joining the Dark Department. Hearing that, Naruto couldn't help but frown. This kind of reputation wasn't a good reputation. Naruto wanted to return to the Land of Waves to find his teammates. He wanted to live in harmony with the villagers of the Land of Waves in the future, not to return to find a murderous maniac. Naruto asked in a low voice. Suigetsu smiled embarrassedly, scratched his head, and said, "Haha, actually I am not as cruel as the 5 books, Naruto. You don't need to worry so much." Seeing Naruto still staring at him, with an expression of disbelief, Suigetsu raised his hand and said, "All right then, I agree with you. I will absolutely not cause trouble in the future. Without your consent, I will not casually harm anyone's life. Ha ha ha." Even though he said so, Suigetsu was actually not convinced in his mind, receiving the influence of that cruel policy and bad customs. No one from the Mist Village would show mercy to anyone who came out. As expected, the people from Konoha are quite kind. Suigetsu muttered in a low voice. Although this voice was very small, but the people beside him were all ninja. Their ears were exceptionally sensitive. They all heard it. Naruto also did not intend to explain too much to Suigetsu, so there was no appearance. Rebuttal. On the contrary, the 5 disciples slightly frowned and looked at Suigetsu, saying in a low voice, "You." "Wrong, Suigetsu. I think you are because of being locked inside the jar for a long time. Not clear." Outside story. Some time ago, when Konoha was besieged by Orochimaru, Naruto-kun was the one who killed the Konoha Hokage's assistant Danzo and thousands of ninjas under Danzo's command. What? Suigetsu immediately looked terrified, unable to help but his throat bob up and down, forcefully swallow a mouthful of saliva. No wonder this Naruto guy always has a kind of invisible weapon on him. Suigetsu at first thought that Naruto did it on purpose, hoping to convince these Orochimaru subordinates. Now Suigetsu finally understood. It turned out that Naruto's body had that faint ferocity. Gas is inadvertently revealed. Only a person with countless killing experiences can exist in this kind of situation. No weapons. At the same time, Suigetsu was also surprised by Naruto's powerful strength. Killed thousands of Leaf Village ninjas? Although this organization has always done some underground activities, Suigetsu also stayed in the Hidden Mist Village, so he knows a little about the relationship with the Hidden Leaf Village. Whole story. This organization specializes in doing some assassination work behind the scenes, its members' strength. No less than the dark side. One man killed thousands of ninjas? So what is the concept after all? Suigetsu wondered if he could kill thousands of awakened shinobi, he was completely done. Impossible. Even if he used his Mizu Shunjutsu to the limit and died in the end, he still wouldn't be able to do it. While walking along the street, no one noticed Suigetsu's mental activity. Change. Just plug in and run with all your might. At noon, after following Orochimaru's base, he headed south and ran until noon. At this time, the sun had already fallen from the western mountain peak, and Naruto and his group had also left the territory of Dainshi country and immediately wanted to go to Tang country. Gyurin, how long until we arrive? Naruto couldn't help but ask. Right ahead. Just cross this piece of lake to the central lake. That small island. We will reach the southern base. Gyurin pointed to a large lake at the foot of the mountain and spoke loudly. Naruto looked down at the lake below the mountainside and scanned it. The water surface was clear. 10 points wide, one basically cannot see the head. Orochimaru set up a base in this kind of hidden place. It's a shame he really thought of it. Okay, big guy, go full speed ahead. We must catch up before it gets dark, Naruto said, taking the lead and jumping down the mountainside, stepping on the water surface, running towards the central lake. Sasuke, Gyurin, and the 5 disciples did not say a word and followed behind Naruto as they glided down. Oh, I'm almost exhausted from running until noon. This is really... Suigetsu was tired and panting. He quickly took out the kettle, took a few deep breaths from the Mizu straw to replenish his energy, then chased after the crowd. This guy's body is dehydrated at the slightest thing. I don't know what the situation is. How? The sky's rays of light are slowly turning dim, which also represents day and night are coming again. Running straight forward on the lake surface for about half a mile, Naruto and his group finally arrived at a small island. This island looks a bit strange. There are 3 huge, upright megalithic trees in the middle of the small island, looking from afar like a giant man finger in erect and okay gesture. The island is small in land area, only about 2 meters above the lake level. But this kind of place is just a freshwater lake, not in the ocean. Such an island, facing dangerous tides at any time. So there is no need to worry about coming. The conference was flooded. Small island lake base, 2nd floor, 1 place in a corridor. A red-haired, bespectacled female student is arguing with a male student, using 10 words. Intense part. Miss Karen, I know Orochimaru is dead and disappeared. Please don't stop me. Stop me. I must leave this hellish place. Break. Karen's face was filled with anger. She raised her hand and punched the man in the stomach. With a deep thud, the man's body became like a shrimp. His eyes were a bit. Outside suddenly, pain fell on the ground. I don't care whether Orochimaru is really dead or not. This base is under my supervision. I absolutely cannot let anyone escape. Karen snorted softly, and without a trace of dust on her hands, she stood to the side. The 2 attendants beckoned and instructed. Throw this guy into the 3rd floor of the prison and let him go. Go to work on internal affairs. Yes, Miss Karen. The 2 attendants respectfully nodded and walked forward to drag the man away from the scene. Things are really getting more and more troublesome. Karen let out a soft sigh, feeling a little helpless about what was happening. The news of Orochimaru's death had spread throughout the ninja world for 2 months. I don't know who leaked the news, but it was brought to this prison base. Those captive experimental subjects, upon hearing that Orochimaru was dead, immediately became excited and started making a fuss, demanding that they be released. Karen was also forced to have no choice, so she arranged her own eye lines in each prison cell. As soon as someone mentioned news of Orochimaru, someone would immediately appear and bring him back. The person who gave it away was quietly cleaned up outside. Karen originally lived with her mother. Because the mother possesses the Uzumaki bloodline, she has special healing abilities. Therefore, she was also used as a horse by the Grass Country Ninja. Whenever any situation appeared in the ninja group's hands, that Mother Karen would come and bite her to recover her injuries. Just like that, Karen's mother finally couldn't bear this kind of torture beyond her body's capacity and died in the Grass Country territory. And Karen was also adopted by the Grass Village Ninja at a very young age, and was considered as her mother's candidate, destined to become the next Grass Village mobile healing device. Luckily, a few months ago, Karen was participating in the Chunin exams with the Grass Ninja Village and was luckily discovered by Orochimaru. Orochimaru discovered Karen's special abilities and changed his mind about selling children, successfully bringing Karen back to the land of Dainchi. At the same time, give Karen a leisurely matter. Let her be the general manager of this stronghold. Blame. Because of this reason, in Karen's heart, there is still gratitude towards Orochimaru, even though she knew that Orochimaru brought her back. Just like those Grass Village ninjas, he was coveting her special ability. Compared to those guys from Grass Village, Orochimaru treated her very well. At least she had never felt this kind of worry and care from anyone other than her mother. But ever since the news of Orochimaru's death spread within the base, in the prison, those experimental subjects all had violent thoughts. If Karen doesn't come up with a ruthless way to deal with this and suppress it, then her new home will probably be completely destroyed. Wait a minute, what are those guys doing here? Karen frowned and fell into deep thought, suddenly raised her head and sniffed, feeling a slightly strange chakra aura. She closed her eyes and carefully felt, then sensed that there was a group of people standing on the water outside the small island, carefully observing the movements on the island. Another side. After Naruto and his group arrived on the island, they followed the OK circular cave and traveled to the central island. Just entered, immediately saw a large cave. Or rather, this cave was not originally that big, but it was processed by workers, so it looked very big. Look over there, there's a big hole. Sasuke's eyes were sharp, and he immediately discovered a large hole dug out of a large rock beside him. Naruto turned his head to look back. The large hole above the mud seemed to have just been renewed not long ago. Moreover, many places were still contaminated with this never-before-done bloodline. Go look over there. Naruto took the lead and walked towards the other side. The rest of the people also followed closely behind Naruto. Why are there so many corpses in here? Did something happen at this stronghold? A tiring run? While drinking water to regain his strength, Sujitsu frowned and said. Giran shook his head slightly. No, there shouldn't be such a thing. The main gate under the cave is completely intact, and there aren't any traces of fighting around. Wu Tu held Yukimaru's back tightly with both hands and said, Go inside and take a look, and you'll know. Go! Naruto once again volunteered, leading the way towards the main gate. The door was tightly closed, without any gaps left, pulled from the outside several times. There was basically no movement at all. It seems that someone inside the gate locked the door. Otherwise, this kind of situation would not have happened. Bang! Naruto swung his fist, a loud bang on the densely packed door above. The monster's fist acted under the impact. The large door shattered with a loud bang, wooden planks scattered everywhere. You! Who the hell are you? Behind the door of a desk in front, there were two ninjas standing there, their faces expressionless as they watched Naruto and the others walk in. They held the kunai tightly in their hands, but did not have the courage to rush forward and engage in a stalemate with these people. The force of Naruto's punch just now, they could see very clearly if this fell on them, they would probably immediately be beaten to death on the spot. Where is Karen? Take me to see her. Naruto did not talk nonsense, opened the door, and saw the two ninjas saying, Miss Karen, that? Please wait a moment. I will go report to her first. Among them, a tall ninja, his eyes circling, was about to run towards the side of the stairs, and went ahead to inform Karen. Wait a minute. No need. We will go together. Naruto spoke up to stop him, immediately waved his hand, signaling his companions to follow his footsteps. Karen's divine eye ability. Naruto is really very clear. As long as there is someone within 10 kilometers, she can sense it. Naruto and his group all rushed here, and also caused such a big commotion. With Karen's sensing ability, it was impossible for them not to notice anything. She has never gone out to meet. She must have suspected something and was worried, not willing to come out to meet. That? Okay then. The tall ninja still wanted to refuse, but seeing Naruto's sharp gaze looking back at him, he still didn't dare to say half of what he said. He bowed his head and honestly started leading the way. In less than a moment, a group of people had climbed up the stairs, and after winding through several small passageways in the second-floor corridor, they finally arrived at a house outside. Dong dong dong. Uzumaki Karen, are you inside? Naruto tried knocking on the door, asking, Who is it? Who are you? A female voice rang out from inside the house, the sound vaguely carrying a hint of impatience. Naruto was a little upset and asked, Can you open the door? Are you just going to let us stand outside and talk like this? I don't want to see you guys. You all go. The voice once again rang out from inside the house. Next, fell into a short silence, the atmosphere suddenly a bit awkward. No one ever thought that Karen would have such a temper, not even intending to come out and see. In desperation, Giran had no choice but to go forward, smiled and knocked on the door, saying, Karen, it's me, I'm Giran. I followed Orochimaru to this stronghold. You should still remember me. Open the door first. Let's go. I told you, I don't want to see you. Giran had not finished speaking when Karen in the room shouted at him to stop. Naruto, don't talk nonsense. Break the door and come in. Sasuke took the lead, getting a little impatient. He pulled out a long sword from his waist and swung it several times in a row towards the front door. The sound of rustling continued to ring out. The wooden door was cut into several pieces, turning into a pair of wooden blocks that scattered to the ground with a rustling sound. This is the long sword that Sasuke found in Yakushi Kabuto's room when he was at Orochimaru's base. Naruto gave him a rough look. The blade was extremely sharp. It must have been modified by Orochimaru Kusanagi. Disgusting. What the hell do you guys want? In the room? Karen suddenly stood up from the sofa, her eyes filled with anger as she looked through the gate at the crowd. Although Karen did not feel any malice from these people, she was very clear in her heart that anyone who approached her was eager to use her special abilities. This group of people in front of me is probably no exception. As a child, Karen lived a miserable life in the grass country. Now that she had finally gotten this stronghold, it was like a home to her. She didn't want her home to be destroyed so easily. And she also didn't want to have any dealings with these ninjas of unknown origin. Karen, don't get so agitated. Can you calm down and talk? You should know, we have no ill intentions. Naruto took the lead and walked inside the house, sat down on the sofa, looked at Karen, and slowly said, That? Okay then, I'll listen to what you guys want to say. Karen was helpless. Encountering such a bunch of scoundrels, she couldn't fight back, so she could only go along with their wishes. Karen, come with us. Join our Wave Nation camp. From now on, that place will be your home. Naruto narrowed his eyes and smiled darkly. Although his tone was light, it did not sound like he was joking. Karen was a little surprised. She used her nose to move closer to Naruto and sniffed, secretly saying in her heart, "This guy, the chakra on his body is filled with a kind of warm sunlight. He must not be a bad person." Girin immediately rushed forward, forced out a warm smile, and said to Girin, "That's right, Girin. Now that Orochimaru is dead, there's no point in you staying here any longer. In the future, no one will come here to extract those experimental objects. Instead of staying on this boring island with him, why don't we leave together? I believe that Naruto will be a good leader in the future." Although the contact time was only short, less than 2 days, Girin could see that this Naruto person had no bad intentions. This point, according to Naruto's previous statement in Orochimaru's lair, wanting to release all those experimental objects that were imprisoned together with Suigetsu, can be seen. If there is no good intention in the heart, where would people care about other people's life and death? Only care about achieving their own goals? Their own happiness is enough. Moreover, last night, in that small wooden house in the woods, Naruto also mentioned that he wanted to make the poor country of Waves become richer in the future and have a better future. Try to ask if following such a person to live and develop together, what could be inappropriate? Karen heard Naruto's name, and suddenly her face was filled with fear. She suddenly raised her hand and pointed at Naruto, asking, You are the one who killed Orochimaru Uzumaki Naruto." Naruto nodded slightly. "It's me. How about it? I remember now. You're still that guy who fought the one-tailed Shikaku alone." Karen's expression became even more startled, her chin raised to the point that it could crush a chicken egg, pointing at Naruto and stuttering continuously. A few months ago, at the Konoha Forest of Death, Karen had clearly witnessed the entire battle between Naruto and the one-tailed Shikaku. That kind of floating and instantaneous mobility ability, and also something like a shuriken that throws out chakra energy beams, is simply a perverted existence. At that time, Karen was very far away and could only roughly see Naruto's appearance. Now that she had Girin's reminder, Karen immediately thought about the entire incident. You know even this? Naruto was a little surprised. Carefully recalling the original script, there seems to be a passage that says Karen also participated in the Chunin exams. Karen nodded slightly. That is, of course, at that time in the Forest of Death, participating in that Chunin ninja exam, everyone must have seen you in the One-Tails battle, right? That's right, this guy came here. So where is that person? Karen seemed to suddenly remember something, glanced at the group of people behind Naruto, and began to evaluate. When her eyes locked on Sasuke's body, she couldn't help but let an undetectable blush appear on her face. He really did come along. Girin muttered to himself, unable to help but recall another memory in his mind. During the Death Forest group exam, she and her teammates unfortunately got lost and were attacked by a giant mutated bear. Luckily, Sasuke was passing by and was saving him from the water, and he was able to escape from the danger. After that time, Karen quietly buried a seed of affection for Sasuke, occasionally hoping to have the chance to meet Sasuke again. Who would have thought that the heavens would have eyes and actually let her run into Sasuke? Hey, Karen, what? Does that Sasuke guy have flowers on his face? Seeing Karen's eyes staring at Sasuke, refusing to leave, Naruto immediately fell silent, shaking his hand in front of Karen. The remaining people here, except for Sasuke who still maintained a cold expression, everyone else expressed a bit of helplessness. Looks like a handsome guy in front of girls is famous. Just he will start to be infatuated. Nothing. I was just thinking about something from the past. Karen realized her mistake and immediately felt a little embarrassed, her face turning red. Through Sasuke's cold expression looking at her eyes, Karen also realized, it seems like Sasuke also doesn't remember her. Suigetsu glanced at Karen, then turned his head to look at Sasuke, propping up his chin with his hand, revealing a humorous expression. Hey, you're called Sasuke, right? Karen just looked at you with that kind of gaze, as if to you, shut up. Seeing that her thoughts were exposed, Karen immediately became anxious and rushed forward to punch Suigetsu in the face, turning Suigetsu's head into a puddle of water. Water splashing everywhere. Not even a moment later, Suigetsu's head returned to its original state, revealing a trace of a faint smile. Karen, why are you in such a hurry? It's not that you're feeling guilty. Actually, I want to say, it's as if you know Sasuke. Ha ha ha. Although he said so, no one here believed what Suigetsu just said. Suigetsu obviously wanted to see Karen embarrassed, so he teased her like that. Can you? Disgusting. You bastard, shut your mouth. Karen was also a smart person. Naturally, she also knew the meaning of Suigetsu's lewd smile. She clenched her fists, looking like she wanted to rush over and hit Suigetsu again. Good. You two stop making a fuss. Naruto saw that this pair of idiots were making a ruckus, so he quickly stepped forward to stop the two. If this continues, everyone will stand aside and watch. After chasing for a day, Naruto and his group were all very tired. They couldn't continue to talk any longer and had to quickly eat and rest. Karen, so your answer is? Naruto looked over at Karen and asked. Karen glanced at Naruto on Hitaie's forehead and then looked at Sasuke. The two Hitaie forehead treasure. People both had a long cut on their foreheads. It seemed that these two people had betrayed Konoha and were now hiding together in the place called the Land of Waves. All right, if you say so, then I will reluctantly agree to you. But I reluctantly agreed to Guren's invitation because of his face. Karen's face turned red and she stuttered. Her explanation is somewhat redundant. Everyone here is smart, and anyone can see that the reason she agreed so readily was probably because of Sasuke. Everything has been revealed, still want to make up such a forced reason. Also really cute. There's one thing Karen probably doesn't know yet. On the way there, Guren had already mentioned to Naruto and the others that she and Karen had only met twice. And that was only when they met and greeted each other at Orochimaru's side. Just asking, just like that, how could Karen, because of Guren, be willing to join the country of waves? Yes, yes, yes. No matter what, we welcome you to join. Naruto did not expose it, just smiled at Karen, showing his friendliness. Guren sighed in relief and said helplessly, the last thing is done, Karen. Quickly arrange someone to make us some dinner. If we chase until noon, we'll soon starve to death. Ugh. Just mentioning eating, not knowing who it was, let out an impatient cry, causing the crowd to look at each other and laugh out loud. I know, you guys rest here first. Karen didn't say anything more, walked out the door, and headed towards the hallway. About an hour later, just as Naruto and the others were sitting on the sofa, almost falling asleep from hunger, Karen finally returned and greeted everyone that they could go eat. Follow Karen to the second floor hallway turn-in room. This place is a specialized dining room. The tableware and tables are somewhat similar to those used in school cafeterias. The dining room is especially spacious, accommodating several hundred people to dine, without any problem at all. As Naruto and the others followed Karen, they saw that close to the location, there were 5 or 6 Sound Village Hittite forehead treasure, ninjas eating. A few of them also happened to look back at Naruto's group, their eyes revealing a look of surprise, emitting a round of whispering and discussing sounds. Look, that blonde little devil following Miss Karen must be the rumored Uzumaki Naruto who killed Orochimaru. Sho, please keep your voice down. I can even kill Orochimaru at will. Killing you, a nameless ninja, is not as simple as butchering a chicken. Be careful not to let anyone hear. You still dare to call him a brat. That's right, you. Don't implicate us. This way, the food is ready for you all. Karen greeted the crowd and took the lead to sit down at a table. Guren, the only female student in the team, also sat across from Karen. After everyone sat down one by one, looking at the food on the table, they were all stunned on the spot. Inside the dining table, a big pile of rice. Added some green fish soup. Inside the fish soup, added a few bean sprouts. Then everything was gone. Moreover, the food at each table is almost the same, no difference at all. No way. Karen, how can we say we are guests, and you let us eat these things? Suigetsu looked at him with disbelief. He picked up the fish soup with 2 bean sprouts in it and shook it. Karen gritted her teeth and said angrily, "You are really hateful. Who knew you people would suddenly come here?" Again, there is no surplus food inside the base. Being able to find such a meal is already very good. Naruto hurriedly patted Suigetsu's shoulder, shook his head at him, signaling him not to argue. At first, I was also hungry, and eating was not bad, so why care about whether the food was good or not? It's okay, Karen, don't be angry. Suigetsu is just like that. He's a bit blunt. You don't need to take it to heart. Naruto laughed heartily and shouted to the crowd. All right, everyone is hungry. Eat first, fill your stomachs, and then talk. After we return to Songchi Kingdom, whatever you want to eat, I will treat you. Ah, really, Naruto? You sound like you have a lot of money. Suigetsu immediately became excited. Really? You eat so much that you don't want to eat anymore. Naruto replied with a dark laugh. What a joke. Where did Naruto's space system store hundreds of trillions of dollars? Just the money Go earned in his entire life with his vicious intentions. Even if he provided enough for the entire wave country's people to spend for 3 to 5 years. He still wouldn't be able to use it all up? Talking in the middle of the conversation, the crowd also began to eat this pitiful food on the table like the wind. No way, when you're hungry. Anything tastes good. As for Karen, why is this stronghold so poor? While eating, Karen also roughly talked to the boss once. Karen manages this base, originally used for food and clothing. Every month there will be a special person to deliver it to the underground headquarters. Perhaps since Orochimaru passed away, this southern stronghold supply chain has been completely broken. For 2 whole months, not only did no one bring back supplies, the original food stored in the stronghold was also completely consumed. As for using money to go outside to buy food, this lake has a big mountain behind it. Not to mention the southern side, Naruto and his group ran to take the base on the road, but within a radius of hundreds of kilometers. They did not see a single family. More importantly, because she didn't have to worry about food and drink while working as a base, Karen never had any money. No matter where you sell it, you have to have money, right? In Naruto, a group of people before arriving here, more than a week, in order to provide some food for the base. Karen sent out a few of her most trusted subordinates to go to the small island outside to fish in the freshwater lake. There was no way. After the news of Orochimaru's death reached the base, the entire base became an unbearable chaos. Originally, there were 200 or more ninja guards. Now only 7 or 8% are hiding. The remaining dozen or so people all received some favors from Karen, so they were willing to stay and watch over this stronghold together. According to Karen's meaning, even if Naruto and his group did not come here, this stronghold would probably not last for half a month and would have to be completely disbanded. Karen, on the way there, I saw a prison on the first floor. There are quite a few prisoners locked up. How do you plan to deal with those guys? Besides drinking the fish soup in the bowl. Naruto looked towards Karen and asked. Karen was stunned and shook her head indifferently. From now on, everyone will take you as their leader, so let's listen to you. Whatever you say, it's fine. Hearing that, Naruto couldn't help but let a smile appear at the corner of his mouth. This guy Karen, although likes to talk big, is still very reasonable. That's good. Let your men release them all. After we leave, keeping them in prison will only make them starve to death. I want to wait until you leave. You're more than 10 trusted subordinates. Will not continue to stay here? Karen nodded slightly. Yes, I have no opinion. All the problems were resolved satisfactorily. After dinner, Naruto and the group found their own rooms. Shushu took a hot bath and then lay down to snore. This whole day has come. With walking and fighting, everyone is really tired. Early the next morning, Naruto brought along this group of people and continued on his way to the northern base. At dawn on the second day, Naruto and his group started on their journey, heading north towards the base. Don't look at the area of Dainchi Quak. It doesn't occupy much, but because no one knows the specific location of the stronghold, they only know the general direction. After reaching the north, Karen still needs to open her divine eye and search for a little bit of a nearby location. Therefore, by the time Naruto and his group truly reached their destination, it was already nighttime. It should be no mistake. There are many mutant chakra seals on the other side, located 3,000 meters ahead. Karen opened her eyes wide, retreating from her state of feeling, and said to Naruto. Naruto nodded slightly. Good. Everyone go all out. After finding me, immediately return to the land of waves. Sujetsu's mouth twitched and he couldn't help but start to spit out. Ha! That Naruto guy. From the beginning to the end, he's always been so confident, always with an air of having victory in his hands. Sasuke turned his head and glared at Sujetsu, arguing back. If you had that kind of strength, you would be able to have such confidence. Sujetsu was startled. This time he did not refute Sasuke's words. He just sighed and said, I admit Naruto's strength. I am indeed far behind, but you, this Uchiha clan guy, and most of you are not much different from me, right? Cut. Sasuke gritted his teeth, looked at Sujetsu with some discomfort, and continued walking forward with the days. These two people like to argue like this when they come together, and in the end, they both end up losing to Sasuke. Everyone initially tried to console them, but in the end, they were not surprised at all. It's not that Sasuke is clumsy with words. It's just that he has a relatively cold personality and disdains arguing with Sujetsu.